Brilliant. We are recording.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so cool. So if you go into your character sheet and you look on the info tab,
Gotcha.
you will see there's a little panel there for experience points,
There is.
and then it will say available 0 points,
Yep.
total earned 0 points. So what you're supposed to do, really, which is the bullet, is track how many total points you've earned
Yeah.
during the campaign and how many points you've got available now. I mean, I'm not bothered how you do it. What I would suggest perhaps doing is in where it says experience points, is just make a little note of when you've earned the point.
Yeah.
So otherwise, it's just because you're gonna be like, oh, did I spend those points? Can't really remember. Because I'm going to give you an experience point that has to be tied in.
Something you've done recently. Yeah.
Yes, something you've done recently. Ideally into something to do with the base or the ship.
Yeah.
Because you've all been involved in refurbishment and doing it up, and so something that you've been doing recently. If you wanted to spend that point, it would be you could get a skill of 0.
Yep.
Or you could upgrade a 0 skill up to level 1.
I think I've already decided on mine. I think I would like Dax to spend 1 XP to take leadership at 0, because he's been doing a bit of micromanaging and a bit of commanding of the crew and telling people what they are and aren't doing, and taking on the old captain role a bit more seriously. Now we've got a bigger crew of slightly fresher faces.
So if I drag leadership over, should have leadership 0 there.
Perfect, got it. And I've made a point. 1 XP gained renovating Dark Knight base, spent on leadership.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Anyone else? Any thoughts on what they might want to spend their XP on?
I had a thought. I thought I'd go back suits or 0G. I don't know what these skills actually.
That's what I was thinking, mate.
Backsuit, yeah.
Good
Backsuit
plan.
Backsuit would be very relevant to what you've just done.
Like refitting Dark Knight base and travelling across to the Oracle ship, and it's not something that my character would have had before, so it would be like, or maybe he's had like an hour's training. This is actually using it properly.
Yeah, you'll have been doing all sorts of EVA stuff, won't you? And just going back and forth, and you're going to get a skill. You're going to get a I've added 0. I've added 0 skill vac-suit.
It's called vac-suit.
Yeah.
Refitting Dark Knight base. Back.
What about
You've got a crash course in how not to do vac suits when Andy threw himself on his face.
I'm doing the same, Mike.
Yeah.
It just makes sense.
Does make sense, yeah. Because if you don't have it and you need it, you can really be in deep shit.
And it's the kind of thing we use quite a lot, manoeuvring about as pirates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I found out those rules for having your vac-suit pierced, that made me slightly weak.
Since you threw those in.
When we had fighting those skulls, and I was like at -3 just for everything.
Yeah.
Like,
so is that backsuit 0, Mike? Yeah, with me 1 point.
Yes, I've dragged the vac-suit over, Gaz.
Cool.
I've got the skill in your character sheet now. There's a message from Icky there. What's he saying? Is it 8 PM? It is. It is. Oh, he's in there.
Yeah, he's in Dubai, isn't he?
He's in Dubai, isn't he? Yeah, probably Andy should be around in about a minute or 2. They could just give him a really shit skill, couldn't we? Let's give him let's give him seafarer.
I was going to say, give him fishing.
Yeah, fishing. That would be the one to give him.
He used his net.
Mike, sorry, bud. Mike, I'm not meaning you have to check rule books or anything, but I'm pretty sure now that I've got, me and Dan have got vac-suit, that in the future, if we were ever so lucky to come across combat armour, as in like power armour, we would have a chance to use it. Would that be right?
You would, yeah, because power armour needs vac-suit minimum.
Yeah.
Some of it needs 0, some of it needs a 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be handy. Not that I suggest Zim's going to be walking around in power armour, but you just never know.
If the GM lapsed concentration for a wee moment and decided to leave a suit of power armour out and about, then there might be
I was
opportunity
thinking more
to
of
use
those, those, oh God, what they called? Like deep hazard suits. Like the big armoured mining suits that can go like within range of suns and work on hazardous planets.
Yeah, hazardous exploration
Yeah.
Batsuit, yeah.
HEV, I think it is, isn't it? An HEV.
I
Yeah,
would think so, yeah.
Zim would like one of those.
they'll have them at Tech
eventually.
World.
Yeah.
They've got everything there.
Yeah,
Toys.
Tech World's the best shopping planet in the galaxy.
What's the
toys.
name of the planet that you're not allowed to go back to for a while?
Well, it's
Teeve.
not that long.
But it's
not
only
that long.
it's only about a month, is it? Now?
Yeah.
I looked at it. If you look on your journal tab on the left,
Yep.
and then if you go onto simple calendar,
Yeah.
today we are on day 212,
We are.
and on the day 246 is when your year on T finishes. Which
Oh,
is
is it?
basically it's about 5 weeks.
Perfect.
So it's and you're not far from it
Excuse me.
either. So it's you're not far from it. So
And we've got a box of Peter Valis's stolen cybernetics that could be
That'll
used
make a
as
nice-
bartering
that'll make a nice kind of like a
little
like little gift.
apology gift. Yeah.
Apology, yeah.
Mhm.
So that should be really, really good. Yeah, well, far away is Teeve. So there is Aranacea, and Teeve is.
We'd have to go via the secret
Oh, there
field
she
dump,
is.
wouldn't we?
Just above Palindrome.
So we could go. We'd have to do the whole Blue Clark Torpole route, wouldn't we?
Probably have to go
Jump to
Torpole, and then to Borite,
Borite, secret fuel dump.
secret fuel dump, which is like around. I
Palindrome.
think it's like around there somewhere.
Yeah.
Sort of palindrome there.
The only other way would be to go up through Imperial space and down through Realgar and Voom.
So can you jump 2 hexes?
Yeah, we've got a two jump capable starship, so
Yeah, jump to.
we can jump 2 hexes. Things like the Augments typically can't. So the ship that we sort of destroyed of the Augments is quite rare. Augments with the jump 2 capability. And obviously, if you've only got jump 1, there's quite a lot of planets like Salif and Homestead and stuff that you just can't reach because unless they're adjacent systems, you're.
Is there any way you could sort of be part of a big convoy that had extra fuel in, like, you know what I mean? If jump 1 ships went with a massive jump 2 ship which had extra fuel, so they would jump 1 hex and then siphon the fuel off.
Is it
You
like
wouldn't be able.
it's like
I'm not saying we
wormhole
could do it, I'm
opening,
just
isn't
saying, is
it?
that a thing that people do?
What you can do, there are a couple
there
of
is.
ways. There are a couple of ways where you could increase your jump distance. You can buy these thing called fuel bladders, and it's like a big bag that you stick in the cargo hold, and you fill it up, and it basically turns your cargo hold into extra fuel capacity. So you've got that. There's another kind of thing which is like an external fuel bag that I can't remember what it's called, but you can basically add extra jump capacity. The
What you're
difficulty,
actually doing is jumping 1 hex twice.
yeah,
rather than
you'd have to
jumping.
do it twice.
Your engine
Yeah.
isn't. Yeah.
Yeah, your engine won't be able to sort of do it.
Cool. Right.
A jump always takes a week, give or take a few hours. Jump 6 is the maximum.
Okay.
Is it? I didn't know there was a jump 6.
Yeah, jump 6 is the maximum.
Good God.
It's like tech
Well, you
level
need-
17 or something.
So
No,
if you
no,
want-
no, no. It's within sort of 15.
Oh, okay.
Imperial ships could jump jump 6, but
Whoa.
the engine size and the fuel size
Yeah.
means that you probably can't do much else.
Yeah, and they're presumably like big capital ships only.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Not even that, like mail, like the Exo.
Mailboat, Expo.
Expo, yes, you've got this kind of a news network
Yes, that's right.
called the Expo network. So they do jump 6, and that's pretty much all they do. They jump, and then they refuel, and then they jump again, and they
Yeah.
just carry the. So news tends to travel at jump 6,
yeah.
but that will be in Imperial space. It would slow down once it sort of reached the. It would kind of slow down once it kind of reached your kind of border.
And presumably, logistically, it's slightly limited in that unless you've got a huge fleet that's all doing very different jump 6s, it's sort of probably really jump 2 or 3 in a particular order for like a
Yeah.
certain ship to do a certain route.
Yeah. So for like the Imperium, like military ships are probably going to be maximum jump 4 because it gives them bit of variability in how far
Flexibility.
they can go. Plus, they can be sufficiently armed or
Yeah, it
armored.
doesn't compromise anything else they can do too
It
much.
doesn't compromise. A lot of systems will have these ships called a system defense boat, even on day.
Radar?
Oi, oi, bud.
Yeah, they will have these things called a system defense boat, which is a ship that doesn't have a jump drive. So it will just be tied to the individual system. But what it does mean is that pound for pound,
Yeah.
it can pack more weapons and a faster maneuver drive. So they tend to be better armed and faster than an equivalent size ship.
Yeah, jump capable ship.
Yeah. So sort of keep your wits about you if you kind of see one of those. Right, let's do the little introduction for this bad boy.
Look at that beast.
Yes. So, gentlemen, this is the Tigris class dreadnought, and it is the most advanced Imperial warship ever built. It displaces 500,000 tons of volume. It's about 360 meters across in all kind of directions. So it doesn't sound that big when it's long, but it's like just
What's
kind of,
its length, though?
yeah, it's about 360, 400 meters, 360, 400 meters, all kind of round. It's been described as a Pac-Man with a backpack. So it's kind
right,
of
I get
like, it is armed. Its primary armament is a spinal meson gun.
That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, so meson guns are sort of subatomic particles that are able to change their nature and basically go through armor.
Like the one we found inside the mountain.
Like the one you found inside the mountain, yeah.
Right.
Now that meson gun in the Tigris itself displaces more than 60,000 tons. So it's a spinal mount. It's built. The ship is basically built around it.
It's like a Death Star thing, isn't it?
It's like a Death Star, yeah. Now the Tigris. It's funny you should say that. It's got 430 small missile bays, and a missile bay has a multiplier of ×3, so it will be 4d6 damage ×3 for each bay.
Yeah, times 480 or whatever.
No, maybe it's 10. It's ×10 for a bay weapon. Yeah, so it's got 430 of those. It's got 22 medium repulsor bays.
What the hell have we done to deserve that turning up?
It's not turned up yet.
I was going to say,
More importantly, what's it worth if we pirate it?
it's got a crew of like 12,000.
It's got a crew of 3,000. It's got 100 high yield fusion guns, 100 long range beam lasers, 100 particle beams, and 50 point defense laser batteries. It's protected by nuclear screens and nuclear dampers. Nuclear dampers basically stop nuclear weapons going off. They interfere with the nuclear reaction. It's got internal. This is amazing. And if the Death Star had had this, it'd be a different story. It's got internal armored bulkheads that mean that the ship can survive an internal nuclear explosion.
Wow.
Because the different sections are partitioned off with these armored bulkheads. It's got a fighter squadron of about 300, if they're all operational. This monster has a crew of about 300. Now, a typical sector, bearing in mind the Trojan Reach is not a typical sector, but the one coreward, the one above you, which would be the Spinward Marches, that would be a typical sector, would have one or two dreadnought batterons. Now, a batteron is a battle squadron, and a battle squadron would probably comprise of 4 Tigris ships.
Which are those behind you?
Which is that one behind me, yeah.
Bloody hell!
So you'd have 4 of those working in a squadron, and a typical sector would have 1 or 2 of those squadrons, plus fleet carriers, close escorts, and support craft.
Thank God we're in the Wild West.
You're in the Wild West, yeah. Now, depending who you talk to, the Trojan Reach is heavily fortified with lots of the latest military weapons because of the Aslan threat, or it's a quiet backwater without much in the way of a military threat at all, military presence at all, and it will be the Spinward Marches that would be would be there, because it's really just a couple of subsectors. So depends who you talk to as to whether it is a big presence or not a big presence. And there, gentlemen, we are going to start our session. Andy, this will be extremely exciting for you, this bit, because I've just given out some, I can't hear you. I've just given out some XP. Yeah,
but you weren't here, so maybe next time.
You weren't here, so you can't do it. Yeah.
That was a good idea regarding the mining drone as well, mate.
It is a good
Wow.
idea, yeah. It is a good idea.
I spent like 5 hours with Mike checking if it's possible or not first, because I stopped suggesting ideas before checking with Mike if he approves it or not. Apparently, GM decides in this game. Hate it, but have to accept it.
You have to accept it.
It's like British Empire. It's like British Empire abroad. It's kind of shouldn't, but it's there.
Right, now Raytar, so
Yes.
you jibber jabber. If you look on your info tab on your character sheet,
Yeah.
you will see a blank box there that says experience points, and let's hope it remains blank. You can have, it's not going to stay blank for long enough for my mind, you can have 1 XP. Now, this XP must be spent on something that you've done in the last few months that would be potentially something you might have done on the base, something you might have done since you left Cordan Highport. So it could be some kind of engineering, some kind of mechanical skill. It could be something to do with refitting computers, electronics, just something. So you don't have to spend it now, but if you know what you want, then I can give it you straight away. So what I would like you to do is, I'm going to write it on your character sheet. So one XP.
I wrote it already.
Yeah, but do it like it would be given at the finish of Deep Night Base.
Yeah. I mentioned done something in the last 2 months.
Yeah, but exactly when? So, because that could be any time, couldn't it? So.
Oh no. Well, okay.
Yeah,
During,
just so that if we were,
yeah,
if you were to,
base operations.
yes, during base
I was going to
operations.
spec-
So if you were to
connect-
look back at it, you could easily say, oh yeah, that point was earned from the base
Got it.
operations. Yeah, okay. And also, Raytar, there's a shitload of outgoings that you're going to sort of deduct. So make a note of these, Raytar.
Yeah.
I think it's useful for everyone else to kind of know. Let's have
Now
a
you know why Raider complains about the funds.
where is it now?
Complaining account.
Have I? What have I done with it now? I'm sure. You know when you're like, I've written it down somewhere.
You actually wrote it to me in WhatsApp. Do you want to?
No, it's okay. I found it. Your maintenance fees. You've got 5 months maintenance fees for the Harrier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which comes to 161,645 credits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then there's the 2-month doing up fees of the base, which comes to 110,790. So Raytar is the accountant. I would like you to deduct that from the ship fund.
Fortunately, I will do that.
Yeah, at your sort of leisure. And I've made a little note of that, but I'm not going to keep track of it because I've got enough to do.
Okay.
So we've given our XP. We are now going to...
Mike.
go on. Yeah.
Is base actually having maintenance costs?
Mm-hmm.
Are they correct there? Because you did mention you wanted to double check them.
Yeah, it's correct.
It's correct. 32 a month. Are you saying
the
that
the base is more like 50.
It's 55, isn't it?
5, isn't it?
Oh, sorry.
It's
That's 55,000 credits a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I just double check that?
And the Harrier's about 33.
Those.
So
Those.
that's 88,000 a month we've got to find just in.
Yes.
This
but can I
pirating
just
lark's a bit expensive, innit?
Yeah.
It is.
Can you just double check that those 2 months, while we were repairing it, maintenance fee were not incurred, and they are going to start being incurred once it's up and running base?
From now, don't worry about the maintenance fees
Cool.
that have been done. We're just going to sort of hand wave that through. It'll start from now.
That's a generous hand wave.
Well, I'm that kind of guy.
Yeah, that kind of guy. You hide it.
I do well. So, gentlemen, we finished our last session. How did we finish our last session? What happened? You got the ship, didn't you? You got the Ogman ship.
There was a gribbly monster
There were a cargo of bones and a big spiny thing that everyone in the crew, apart from me and Kel, decided was going to be friendly and started trying to give it treats. So we murdered it for the sake of everybody else who seemed to have lost their minds.
Yes, you did. And then there was all the cargo, which you can kind of transfer over. Now I think I've done that. Let me just check.
Did you transfer the missiles? Because
yes,
I was excited by those.
Yeah. I've transferred the missiles. Yeah, I think I've transferred everything over into the base. So if you look on your base and look in the cargo.
Well, advanced electronics, advanced vehicles. Did you transfer everything? Doesn't seem so.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we
there were 30. You already had some stuff, but there were 30 tons of advanced electronics.
Yep.
There were your assault. You already had your assault cycles.
Yep.
You already had your surfboards. You had 5 tons of advanced manufacturing goods, and 12 tons of common electronics. 5 tons of cybernetics.
I don't see them in Dark Knight cargo, or am I blind?
They're definitely there.
Have we looking components, Andy?
No,
Okay,
look
good.
under cargo. There's
No,
a cargo.
cargo.
under cargo, the only things in there are the advanced electronics, the assault cycles, and the surfboards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can see them.
Yeah,
Wow.
we can only see those top few. The rest are hidden from us.
Let's just see.
And by the way, you say that surfboards are illegal, which
Yes.
I disagree.
Yeah, apparently the surfboards are illegal cybernetics.
Radar
Can you?
is...
No, it says the illegal. It says the illegal cybernetics are illegal.
Oh,
You
for
see-
me it
Oh,
says surfboards.
I've just realised that's 2 columns. No, you're right.
It's 2
Yeah.
columns.
Yeah.
It's 2
Yeah.
columns.
Oh,
You're right.
Yeah.
I can see everything.
Yeah.
It's because
It's
when
two
you
columns.
when you click on one row, it sort of highlights the rows are highlighted together to break them up.
Ah, I see. Yes.
So I saw
yes,
that
it
as
is,
3
yeah.
rows, not
I
as...
saw it as 3 rows as well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, I can see it all. Thanks, Mike.
Illegal cybernetics is illegal now. Now it makes sense.
Now it's
We,
cybernetics.
we're going to
yeah,
install those. We won't get in trouble.
Now, do you want to? You've got the coup,
Yeah.
of course, and you've got quite a bit of stuff in there. There's an air raft, because what we're going to do now, fellows, you're going to head to Aranacea, okay?
Yes.
We're going to go to Aranacea, and is there anything that you want to take with you? And is there anything you want to leave? Is there any cargo you want to take to sell?
What were the votes on vehicles? Maybe we can just get rid of vehicles
No.
which
No.
Keep you said to keep the vehicles.
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah, we voted to keep the vehicles for now in case they were useful.
Okay, no problem, no
But-
problem. I just
Yeah.
double
Yeah.
checked.
No, that's fine. At the end of last session, I think we said that we were going to try and sell the advanced electronics and possibly the manufactured goods, because Aranacea is not a high-tech world. We should get a decent price for them.
Should get a decent price.
That's
for them.
right.
Yes.
So, but if you could empty
But
the
our-
cargo.
Our ship is full of vehicles. That's not a thing.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you want to leave at the base, and what do you want to take to Aranacea? Thinking of what you might.
We
kind of
leave all the
need.
vehicles, and then if we have a mission that might require them, they're there.
Yeah.
And we take all the stuff we want to sell.
Yeah.
Is that a thing we can do?
I think
yeah.
that's what we do. I think the only things we need to take are cargo and either the air raft or the G carrier in case we need to do, interesting stuff planet side without having to jump a week back and then a week back again. And I think is there a significant difference in tonnage in terms of the air raft and the G carrier?
Yeah. The air raft displaces 4 tons.
Mm.
The G carrier displaces 6. So maybe not
bit-
significant.
bit-
It's a little bit.
Bit more, but it does give us a lot of advantages in terms of security.
They're on board.
Could I ask about the coal berths with the hostages we've sort of got?
Yeah, he's still there.
Have we got any coal berths up and running on Dark Knight Base?
That's what I was wondering. If we could transfer.
Yeah, because I don't think we want to be flying
Keep
them
on
around.
ice.
I don't believe you have.
What kind of time would it take us to strip a few coal berths out of the coup and stick them in Dark Knight Base? Although all 8 of them are currently occupied, so it's sort of all or nothing, isn't it? And we do want a few in the coup.
I don't know. Probably a day or two.
Okay. Yeah, maybe
It
we
wouldn't give you a lot of cargo capacity though, because where the cold berths are, it would be difficult around a funny corner.
Slightly awkward. They're just sorry about that. No, but I mean they're not part really of the cargo bay, are they? They're in their own separate.
They're in their own separate room.
Area. So, yeah, I wasn't thinking in terms of extra cargo space. I was more thinking, if for some reason the coup got searched. I know it's got good security systems.
This is exactly what I'm thinking, Dax.
Yeah.
Should we say that you want to transfer those cold bursts to the base?
Yeah.
I think for now it might be more secure. Although I can see us flying throughout the galaxy and finding an opportunity where somebody's like, "Oh, these nobles went missing, and if they could be rescued, we'd pay you a fortune." We'd be like, "We know where they are. They're a few months away, stored on a rock."
It's knowing what to take and what to leave, isn't it?
I mean, I think from a security point of view, we'd be better with them not on the coup. But the coup is a very high security, difficult to break into ship, and given that removing the cold bursts doesn't give us any significant functional advantage on the coup, having them with us,
I suppose it's collateral.
Yeah, it gives us a tactical advantage in some funny situations.
You boarders, we kill the crew.
Yeah.
If we take the cold burst, we get raided by the Imperials. If we leave them on Dark Knight base, the base gets raided by Imperials.
Oh, that's fine.
The base is unlikely to get raided by Imperials because no one knows it's there.
If we get raided by Imperials, I'm quite happy I can talk my way out of that. We've just rescued them. We found them in this floating ship, and we rescued them. We were just taking them somewhere. The fact that some of them have cybernetic implants and alien DNA in them, that has nothing to do with us.
So you're going to leave them on the
happenstance.
Yeah, leave them on the coup. Leave them on the coup, I think.
Okay, so the final question then is, which vehicle do you want to take? The air raft or the G carrier? Aranasir is pretty much a zero law level world.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty much a free for all.
G carrier is a bit more secure, right?
Yeah, much more. I think because we can't. We've only got 25.4 tons, so we can't stick all of the advanced electronics in anyway. So I think we take the G carrier and as many of the advanced electronics as we can fit for one run, and we try and flog those while we're there.
Yeah. Okay. So you've basically got 29 tons capacity.
Yeah.
Of cargo. So I'm going to hand wave that and say it's 30 tons. I'm going to give you. I'm going to be extra generous and say you've managed to stick some in the doorway.
So
it means that Mike has planned us losing all the cargo. That's what it means, guys.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. So we're rocking with like 24 tons of advanced electronics and a G carrier, nothing else.
Yeah. Now, advanced electronics their base price is worth 100,000. So we'll do this. We'll do this now if you want, because then it's kind of done. So base price is worth 100,000. On Aranasir, they were worth, if we look on that trade tab, Andy, desired goods.
Let me just double check.
What did you say? Advanced. Did I say they were advanced electronics? Yes. Yeah, your base price. They're offering 120,000.
Wait, let me double check. Just double check.
And we get 20% of that?
Let me just check.
For not having any contacts, is that right?
Yes.
Well, did Mike say 20?
Yeah, it's
good. Can I just double check? Are we sure we want to sell it on Aranasir versus on Cordan? Because if we can make a quick trip to Cordan and it won't take much of the game time, Cordan is potentially better to sell. Also,
is it worth the time? Is it worth your time?
Right now, I agree with you completely, but the thing is, it's not about absolutely maximising profits in this instance. First of all, we go back to Cordan, that's really high risk because Raytar is wanted in Cordan, and I'd love to see Kel's face if we take him back there, or even just the ship that took him. The other thing is, it's a week in each. It's 2 weeks with fly into system out, so it's a month out when we've got potentially the treasure ship and some other things that are time sensitive. So for the sake of a few extra thousand, I think in future...
And don't forget the base and the ship would accrue 88,000 credits worth of costs.
Yeah, I think when we've got some goods, we sell them for the best price we can without interrupting mission parameters. And rob stuff. I'm not disagreeing with you, Andy. I think what you bring up is absolutely valid, but I think in this instance we're better off just selling them in a world where we at least get the bonus 20% for the system data.
Yeah. Okay. So Uranus is tolerant, so you get 20%. So write this down, Andy, and then do the math, because this is your time to shine. 120,000 of 30 tons.
Yeah.
At 120k a ton.
Yeah.
20% of that is what you're going to get, and then you can work that out, and then you can add that to your ship fund.
Well,
actually,
720.
720. Okay, so do you want to give a should we pay a dividend out?
Can I just ask if we can do a broker roll? Is there because
that's included? That's included in the thing of your broker skill is automatically included in the roll I did to calculate those trade goods. So there's a website I can go onto.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a website I can go onto, which automatically does random roll for the trade goods. It adds your broker skill of 2 plus your intellect modifier.
And what about 120k? So 120 is the one which includes my broker skill.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. Otherwise, it just takes up the whole session doing because you have to roll for each cargo, and no one uses it because everyone. When I speak to people on the sort of GM forums, they're like, it just takes too long to kind of.
I'd like to pay out dividends later if that's okay.
Yeah, let's do that later. So we've got 720k take.
I'm going to add it.
Yeah, but don't forget though, it's this 10% goes to OLED, so 72.
Yes.
72 goes to.
Kick back to Uncle OLED.
Kick back to Uncle OLED, isn't it? Okay, so we've got that. Right, okay, so we're going to head to Aranesia. Yeah. Now, the last time you left Aranesia, you left the high port, and you left with 3 new crewmen. You left with or crew persons. You left with Stella.
Right.
And if you look in your journal tab, there you should see a tab there called NPC crew.
Yeah, that's updated now. Yeah, brilliant. Cool. Thanks, mate.
Yeah. Okay, so there's your NPC crew. So you've got we recruited Shane Garcia, aka the Monk. We recruited Jory Ip, the Space Monkey, and you recruited Stella Blackwater. And she was definitely a bit nervous about going onto a ship of guys that she didn't really know, but she seems pretty kind of desperate. And I want you to just tell me how that scene went down. What happened? We're just going to do a bit of narrative storytelling. What I want you to do is each person is going to narrate a little bit of the scene when you left Aranesia Highport, and you're going to finish your little bit with a problem that occurred, and then that is going to set up the next person. It's like a montage. That's going to set up what happened, what the next person is going to say, how they dealt with that. So I'm going to kick it off. I'm going to sort of kick it off because what I'm going to say is that this is her boyfriend.
Her boyfriend.
This is her boyfriend. Yeah.
Prick.
Yeah, prick.
He looks really cool.
Yeah.
He looks a bit mucky.
Yes, he's a mechanic who works on the docks. They both work on the docks. His name is Simam.
Right.
Simam Luca. And you basically, I don't know who's gone down to pick her up or to help her kind of clear a bit of her stuff. And she's hoping that he's not going to be there. And when she gets back to her apartment, he's there. And he's like, hey babe, what the fuck's going on here? Over to you. Who goes first?
Are we all there?
It's up to you. Anyone can be there, or no one can be there.
I don't think I'd be down at the docks.
Yeah,
It's not really my scene.
I think Dax would have definitely gone with her because he made a comment when we interviewed her about the bruise on her face, and the fact she might have the opportunity for some payback. So he is going to accompany her because we all know he has a thing for a damsel in distress that's got him in trouble before. So Dax is sort of standing over her shoulder, not crowding her, giving her a space, but when he sees this guy, he's just going to make eye contact with her, and he sees that little flit in her eyes that lets him know that this is the guy, and he just sort of under his breath just sort of purrs at the guy and just says, "I think you better sling your hook, my friend. Your services are no longer required." But then the guy pulls out a data pad, and he turns to Stella, and he says, "I've still got the information on here. You owe me. You go anywhere, I leak this. That's my problem."
Okay, so next person, whoever wants to kind of take up that challenge that Dax has just left and run with the story and create a new little problem for the next member of the storytelling group.
Is it just her, or is it all three engineers?
No,
That's
there
what
could
we're
just
thinking
be Dax here. It could just be Dax and Stella. You could be there. I want you to just tell me what happens next in this little scene.
of. Well, she says, "I don't care what's on that data slate. My life here, you've ruined my life here anyway. I don't care if you tell everyone what I did. I'm no longer interested in you or your shit problems." And she grabs her stuff and shoves it in a duffel bag, and sort of starts to walk out of the apartment with Dax. But then he reaches forward and he grabs onto her shoulder and says, "Wait 1 second." And that's the next problem.
So he starts to physically manhandle her.
Yeah.
Okay, go on, Andy. Go on.
Okay, as he does it, Doug's doing the Doug's thing, and monoblades this guy, just cutting off his throat, just instantly. Like he did it without any further conversation, and as he does
Hey,
it,
Dax.
and as he does it, there is a official representative. I won't say policeman because there is a bureaucrat passing by, and because they didn't close the door, he sees it.
Nice one.
If ever I can't make a session, Andy gets to play Dax because you get Dax completely. So it just doesn't even think.
Okay, so Gaz, tell us there's bureaucrats passing by. Dax is stood there, blade in hand.
Okay. Zim stands there thinking of all these outcomes that have been flashing through his head that could happen as this bloke appeared in the corridor to speak to the young lassie. None of these events have occurred. These are just Zim's anxieties flashing through his head of, what am I doing here? What's going on? What could happen? And the young chap who said all this, because reality ended at the point he said to, he turns round, looks at Dax, and Dax just gives him a wink, and then nods to Raytar, and Raytar gives a wink back to Dax, and the young lad, sort of like looks at her and goes, "Yeah, I don't care who your friends are. If you don't pay me what you owe me, you're in trouble."
Let's go around one more time because you've got to get her out of this situation.
It was all a dream.
It's all a dream.
I love
Going
it.
back to Dallas there, stepping out the shower.
Yeah.
I mean, I can totally see that. Like, I can see you sort of imagining it, and then snapping to and going, like,
No, I don't want Dax down for murder.
okay.
Well, not intentionally anyway.
No, it was definitely quite savage. Is it back round to me then?
Back round to you.
Right. So Dax will just reach out with the cyber arm, take the data pad, and crush it in one hand, just staring at the guy. and he'll just say to him, he'll just look him straight in the eye. In the way that Dax does, it's not really that threatening. It's almost sort of jovial. It's like, you know, after we've dealt with this ridiculous situation, you and I'll go for a pint. And he just looks at him and says, "You won't be seeing her again. So I don't think it really matters what you think she owes you. However many backups you've got of all this information, this lady's now a ghost. And as far as I'm concerned, I hope you stay that as well. You don't want to see me again, Sonny." And at that point, Dax will sort of nod to her and just say, "You okay, darling? Just shout if you need anything." And he'll just head out round the corner and sort of let them sort their business out, ready to step in if he hears any sort of raised voices. And there's just a very brief little scuffle, and the guy barges past her. You hear a sort of shout, and the parrot squawks, and he's running off down the corridor suddenly with something in his hand. He's grabbed the duffel bag that she was shoving everything into and made off with it, and he's basically got all her worldly goods, and he's belting off down the corridor. Dax, meanwhile, is sort of leaning against the wall, smoking a cigar, and for once his peripheral vision enhancement has failed him, and he's just not noticed. He turns too late to see the guy disappear around a corner of a corridor as she sort of comes stumbling, startled out of the room.
Bill.
Yeah, so she comes out of the room and sees him disappear around the corridor, and she goes, "He's got all of my life. Everything that I own is in that bag. Move it, you worthless, worthless captain." And so Dax and realizes what's happened, and sort of sees him disappear around the corner, and they both sort of jog or run down the corridor to see what's happened.
Dax has got bionic legs. He can move twice the speed.
Yeah, I can move twice as fast as any other human.
But she was faster because she had a head start. She realised what's going on.
Yeah.
So they sort of catch each other up. But just as they approach the corner to see where he's gone, they hear a noise. They hear him fall over, and they sort of look around the corner to see what's happened.
Ooh.
Nice. Go on, Andy.
I have a perfect resolution, I think. Could I be the last one, please, in this round?
Yeah, okay.
I think I have got an idea how to sum it up.
Okay, go on then, Gaz.
Zim notices that the young lad, in his haste to run away with the bag, has dropped one of his what looks like a cheap ID wallet, with a few creds spilling out onto the actual deckway. So he might be running, but he's not running far because we know where he lives.
Got all his info. And is there a problem associated with what you've just kind of found? You're going to leave a little problem for Andy?
And then Dax cuts the throat.
Always comes back to death.
I guess he lives far away or something.
Yeah, it's got a torn and, like, you know that wanted poster we saw on the vid slug? It's got like a cheap photo print folded up in the wallet. It's crumpled. So there's a chance that this lad could recognise Raytar because he had the...
It's Raytar's wanted poster.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Nice. Like those are fools.
We're going to be doing this all night. This is great.
Could I finish with the resolution of the problem?
Yes, of course you can, yeah.
Detonates.
So, kind of probably Dax would assess the situation and ask her, well, is it worth our time? How, like you said you had all your valuables there. What was it like? And she'd be like, oh, I had all my clothing there. I had my
tools, some mechanic tools.
My tools there, and she would be like, they're like really, really expensive, and this is like all my life. And Dax would be like, huh, well, you're in luck. There is nothing we can't solve which costs money. We are a profitable pirate crew. He would be lying a lot here, but you know what we would give. And he would be like, just see our account. And when he realizes there was nothing of sentimental value and purely just monetary value, he would realize that, as always, it's not worth the time. And he'll like just just see our account and he'll reimburse you. And she'd be like, really, really? And then when they would come to the ship, I would probably be like, doing this scene when I would be counting money from the from the 80s intro. And she like, oh, hello, like, I was told there is like this financial recovery which is possible to be done to my possessions. And Dax, he couldn't care about my possessions. Now I would ask her just how much, and she would, it was a lot, like how much? She'd be like 10,000, and like from the pile of the kitty, we would just hand her 10,000, and she probably mentions twice the price. It was like over of what it was worth, but we probably wouldn't care. We would show like good attitude towards the financial health of our members, and she would get 10,000 out of the kitty, and she would be twice as happy, and she would buy all the new tools.
Yeah, so she's buzzing. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, so she's buzzing. So you've recruited your new crew member. She's buzzing because she's able to buy a load of like flashy new gear after actually losing her old stuff.
And women, they like shopping, don't they?
Women love shopping, yeah. And Simam Luca, the boyfriend, we'll meet him again someday.
I was going to say, if he had a wanted poster of Ratar, that might not be the last we saw of him.
We're going to see him again. Now, gentlemen, that was a flashback scene.
We deduct money from Ship Kitty.
Yeah, they don't money from Ship Kitty. Yeah. So that was a flashback scene. So what happened when you sort of left the high port? Before you now leave Dark Knight Base, you're all kind of like packaged up, and you've got all your decided what you're going to sort of take and whatnot. Do you want to fly in normal space? Basically, the Harrier is running very low on fuel. You might just make it on fumes if you transit through normal space. If you want to jump, you're certainly going to need to refuel. Or you could try and get there on fumes and buy fuel when you get to...
I think, given how close we are to a gas giant, I think we're going to want to scoop. Because, I'm all for... We make money where we can make money, and we're not going to spend ages arguing over selling on the very best planet. But also, we're not going to buy fuel when we don't have to. And we've got 2 capable pilots, and, Dax will happily take the stick tonight if Billem's having a little bit of a rest. So I think before we go, we scoop and we fill up the coup.
Okay, cool. So I have, I think, seeing as Billem is not here with us tonight, I think Dax, you should do a bit of piloting.
Dax hasn't flown the ship in forever, not since Bill actually got his skills up, and he's feeling the itch. If he's sort of hoping with Scratch not here, he's going to get to fire some of the turrets as well, because he used to be the pilot, then he was the gunner, and now he just sits in a chair.
Yeah. It's time you did a bit of like exercise. Yeah, a bit of exercising of the stick again.
Flex the old muscles. I used to be a pirate ship pilot. That's hard to say.
Now, pirate ship. Well, I'm going to show you now a little graphic that has the depths of the gas giant, and how long you want to sort of approach that refueling. Okay. So, the Wisp, the gas giant, is in various depths. The Wisp there's not a lot of drag, but it's not really suitable for refueling. And then a little bit deeper, the minimal turbulence, 10 times as long to refuel. Reasonably safe in the shallows, and then the deep is where most refueling is done, but you might not want to take the risk because it is pilot checks are at -2. Now, if you fail the pilot check, you get bounced back up, and the ship gets caught in all kinds of turbulence, and you'll have to make a pilot check to avoid getting damage. Now, I'm going to tell you now, each point of damage the Harrier sustains is going to cost you 100,000
to fix. I know that number well. Yeah, I mean, we probably should have used Billem for this, because he's a sensible man with a...
You could use Billem.
No, we're not using Billem for this. Dax is desperate to get behind the stick. The reason I'm saying we should have used Billem for it, and Billem has previous for nearly destroying the coup when scooping once before. Dax is going to go deep. Because that's the normal depth for fuel skimming, and he is quite comfortable skimming fuel. He's not going to go reasonably safe for half-rate skimming. He's not going to go ridiculous and extreme deep, but he's going to go deep at -2.
Okay,
All right,
so
okay.
what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make a pilot roll to get down there, and it would normally be like 1 or 2 pilot rolls, but I'm just going to let you make 1. Okay, to kind of get down to the deep, but it's going to be at -2 to get there.
Yeah, that's fine. So pilot spacecraft with Dex at -2. Here we go.
Still my biting heart.
Yeah,
Nice.
effective 2, baby.
Nice.
He's
Okay,
not had the stick in his hand for a little while, but this was his life for 20 years.
Can you describe?
Words of a man.
Whoa.
Can you describe the scene as you drop in? Just describe how it feels and
as you sort of enter the upper layers of the gas giant, as the ship approaches the gas giant, it sort of starts to fill the view screens, and then it keeps filling the view screens, and it keeps filling them, and there's suddenly, as you realise you're not even in the shallows, you're not even in the wisps yet, you've not yet got into scooping range. The sheer galactic scale of this thing actually is quite overwhelming, even for people who've been on spaceships before. For anyone, maybe Ratar, maybe Kel, who haven't been on a ship that sort of scooped from a gas giant's atmosphere before, it's quite an eerie experience. It's a little bit like flying towards the clouds of ruined Drinax. You're sort of approaching this terrible, hostile, toxic environment, and there's the flashes of lightning, as you can see on the screen there, sort of the arcs within the ionosphere. The clouds are sort of billowing around, and the ship is starting to buffet. And Dax initially is taking a very sort of measured approach. He's descending by almost textbook. It's almost like Imperial Navy standard operating procedures. He was in the Navy for a good 4 or 5 years before being discharged under weird circumstances, and he's flying 5x5. He's in the pipe. It's all good. It's a little bit bumpy, but everything's fine. But as we enter the wisp and as we sort of enter the shallows, there's this strange grin just sort of spreads on his face, and anyone who clocks it from one side knows it. It's the grin that was in Zim's mind as he imagined what could happen as he sort of whipped out the monoblade. It's that wild-eyed Dax who's always up for more adventure than he's perhaps capable of handling. And he looks left and right, particularly looking at Billum, who's perhaps on board, but has decided to take a back seat. Dax has insisted on flying this one because he hasn't flown in ages. And he looks at Bill, and he's remembering the time that Billum almost lost the coup in the gas giant previously, where Dax had done the scooping in the Goddess Historia and had done it perfectly next to him. And he just dips the stick and absolutely just almost air brakes it into the deep, ending up in a pretty stable, sensible scooping angle, but coming in suddenly very steep and then pulling up, and he starts to giggle to himself. And as he does so, the ship buffets a little bit, and there's little flashes of lightning sort of off the hull. There's readings on the sensor readouts that there's a lot of energy going on outside. We can see on the displays the sort of the flashes. The clouds look very angry and roiling as they sort of spread around in the wake of the coup as it slams into the deep and glides along for a good while, collecting its load. And we see the fuel meter sort of skipping up. There's perhaps a few rolled eyes, and the whole time Dax is grinning as he gets it into a stable position in the deep, and the fuel's starting to come in. Oh yeah, and the crash of thunder. And as the fuel's starting to fill up, and he's got the feeling that he's got it in hand, he takes a stick in one hand, he's got both feet up on the console, and he just sparks up a cigar, and he's grinning like he's in the happiest place in the world. He's not done this in maybe 6 months.
Zim, as you're what are you doing during this scene? Are you sort of just chilling? Are you enjoying this? Are you?
Zim doesn't understand the word chill. There's always work to do, and there's always interests. And currently, what Zim is doing with the aid of Lydia is doing a refresh of the new personnel, Kel and Ratar, and an update of Dax and Billum for basically a medical profile, proficiencies, you know what I mean? Basically, screening them for illnesses, tox screens, that sort of thing.
Sim, you're becoming aware as you're sort of maybe just cracking on because you've got your neural lace linked to Lydia. She seems to be a bit agitated. She's an artificial intelligence. She's not truly sentient, but she's pretty clever. She seems to be a bit agitated.
Ah, Lydia, is there something you'd like to bring to my attention?
I'm very sorry to disturb you, Dr. Zim.
Certainly.
It's this stupid ship computer. It keeps insisting that it's this stupid starship computer. It keeps insisting that I tell you something, and I'm trying to tell. It keeps insisting that I tell Captain Gendar something, Captain Dax something, but I keep trying to tell him to leave him alone. He's a very busy man.
Pass it to me, Lydia, and I'll take it off your hands and I'll speak to the captain directly. How would that be?
If you think that would be quite all right, sir, I'm sorry to bother
Certainly,
you.
if you can just update it on my data slate and I'll just transfer it through to Dax in command.
Okay. The ship, the Harrier ship, has got its own computer AI, but it's very basic. It's very sort of simple, not particularly clever. And basically, this computer its sensors are showing that the atmosphere, as you're dropping down between these layers, that the atmosphere at this level contains a high percentage of oxygen, and the pressure is such that the ship believes that anyone doing an EVA could possibly survive for an unknown period of time with their faceplate open. Now, the previous captain of the ship before, a couple of hundred years ago, had done this a number of times, and it's a practice generally known as the gas giant gamble.
Okay.
And the ship computer is insisting that this was always done by the previous captain. Would Mr. Gendar like to do the same? And would anyone else like to do the same? I believe Mr. Billem could hold the ship in a sufficiently stable position to take advantage of the current atmospheric conditions, which are reasonably low, and maintain you within this kind of little band, this little strip of oxygen where the pressure's not too bad, and that you could probably survive if you were to remove your helmet. Or maybe
as
take
the
the
ship
faceplate off.
slides through the atmosphere of a gas giant.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Now, Zim, from a medical perspective, would not really entertain this idea, right? Because Dax is his mate and captain of the ship. But he does know Dax. So what I need to ask Rob is, do I let you know or not?
I think that has to be Zim's call, and I think you've made the points as to why Zim sort of would or wouldn't, because Zim sort of knows if they call it the captain's gamble, and there's some
He's got to prove himself.
The gas giant gamble. The
gas giant gamble, and there's some historical hearsay that previous captains have done it. There's no way he'd want to be seen to not be one of those. So, you know that Dax is likely, if you were to bring it up to him, to double check with you and get sort of the sensor readings and Lydia's sort of view on it as to whether or not it's actually an artifact of the sort of failing AI, or whether we think it's possible. But you also know that if it's possible, he's probably going to do it. He's probably going to want to stand on the back of the ship like riding a giant sandworm with his mask off, screaming into the void.
You can tell him then.
Oh, I've been floofed. Come on down. Come on down, pal. Come on.
It's like the final moment before the alien parasite will attach to your face.
It's a different kind of gas giant gamble.
Oh, that was. I'll pass it to that. I'll actually walk it up to the bridge and just make small talk about it and see what his reaction is and try and gauge it from there. And I'll just go up to the deck. And does Dax look quite engaged and sort of like concentrating on what he's doing?
He looks bored now. He's got the ship into stable scooping range. He's done it in a swishy motion. He's very pleased with himself. He's proved that he can still pilot the ship. And now he's sort of lazily got one hand on the stick and he's smoking and looking around, and he looks like he realises why he lets Billum do this, because actually day-to-day piloting's boring when you've done the fancy manoeuvres. And he looks like he's about to ask Bill to take control anyway, so he can just get up and stretch his legs.
So I walk in like this with my data slate. Like, Dax, have you ever heard of, what's it called,
The gas giant gamble.
the gas giant gamble?
Is that something I would have heard of, Mike, as a former spacer?
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah,
I've heard of it, yeah.
Yeah, I'll say yeah. Hi, there was a former captain of the Dragon's Flame claimed he'd done it once, but none of us believed him.
Well,
Right, Dax is going to make a roll.
Zim's
to do it
going to
under-
make a roll.
Yeah, sorry, Zim's going to make a roll, and I'm going to roll under my look. Can I make a look roll?
Yeah.
It's just to see how Fraser thinks. So okay.
Bear in mind.
Oh, it's an effective -1.
Okay. Oh,
It could be a success with a consequence.
The consequence being Dax immediately takes his helmet off and dives for an airlock.
funnily enough, Dax. The coup, apparently, is saying that the previous captain did this. I wouldn't recommend it. Seriously, Dax, I wouldn't recommend it.
So, can you confirm the conditions are right, Doc? Like, I appreciate that the previous captain may have tried this, but what's Lydia saying it looks like out there? Like,
Throw the
could I-
data over from the data slate. You know what you can do.
Make
You
an
can flick it
electronic
onto-
sensors roll. Please, Dr. Zim.
Eons.
Use an intellectual education as you like.
Education.
Well, it's unbelievable, but the sensor readings seem to corroborate what the ship is saying. There is indeed patches of oxygen, bands, if you like, where they're probably breathable. I mean, it's hard to say with any certainty.
Dax's eyes light up, and again, possibly sparking some eye rolls from the crew. What I really want to hear is Kel and Raytar's reaction in a second to Dax, because they've not known him very long, and not in this situation. So Raytar's known him be impulsive and explosive and make some rash decisions, but not anything like this. And Kel's been with us a couple of months now, where we've all been relatively sensible. We've been fixing up a base and keeping Raytar hidden and what have you. But Dax's eyes sort of light up and sparkle, and all he's going to say is going to turn to Zim. He's going to let go of the stick and just nod at Billum. He's not even going to say anything, and he'll just say to Zim, "How long do you reckon I've got, Doc?"
Oh dear.
We've got planet.
Really, Dak?
Planetology. We've got planetology. Is it planetology or physics or?
Yeah.
Would it be physics? Probably
Bi-
physics.
biology.
Probably planetology or biology. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got biology.
With your lungs, 2 or 3 seconds.
I mean, it's very hard to say, Zim, but
Yeah.
it probably could take several breaths. Probably, maybe
You could have a good cough.
you probably have a 45 seconds, maybe a minute. Would be probably doable, but there are massive fluctuations of pressure. This is not a stable environment. This is a highly chaotic environment.
Dax is going to look quickly around the bridge of the coup. He's going to make brief eye contact with a couple of people, but he's going to linger on Zim and Billum. Scratch isn't there, and also Silic, the guys who've been with him from the very beginning.
Does anyone else want to, before Dax, that you take up this mantle on your own? Does anyone else want to do it?
No.
Would I be on the bridge or would I be in my stateroom?
It can be where you want to be.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's
think
not
I'd be on
behind
the
the
bridge. I think the as we were descending into the gas, the avalanche of the gas giant, as Dax was explaining how it looked, I probably went, "This is a bit intense for me. I don't really want to be seeing this lightning," and so I would have retired to my stateroom to clean my outfits and pick out my clothing for the next 24 hours and style my hair and trim my mustache.
What about you, Raytar? You've got new skill with a vac suit.
Radar prefers calculated risk, and there is no profit, and there is no profit, zero profit, in leaving it in a vaccine. If you ask Andrew, he would definitely do it. Not Radar, though.
Okay. And Dr. Zim, might you like to do it?
Well, with a vac suit skill of 0, probably best not.
Well, you've got magnetic foot clamps that would probably hold.
It's more to do with whether or not you choke to death.
Right, okay. This is where the stat is perfect. 2-6, Mike.
Because I suppose the danger is, like, if Dax suffers a bit of brain damage, is it going to make a big difference? But if Zim suffers brain damage... Yeah, exactly. But Zim suffering brain damage is... Sanity.
Well...
It would be a fantastic scientific opportunity.
That's what Zim's thinking. Do you know what I mean? Me and Dax did.
Yep.
Yeah, but I failed my sanity roll technically, so...
Right, okay.
So
okay,
Dax sort of sees this vague cure, like Zim perhaps has almost, it's not the same manic lust for adventure, but it's the lust for knowledge. He's seen that in Zim's face many times, that sort of great unknown.
Experience pushing of the boundaries of science.
Yeah, what if?
You
and
know what I mean?
He's surprised to see that, although Zim's advised against it, he's perhaps also in.
Kind of going, no.
And Dax will just grin at him. He'll turn to the bridge and just say, nothing's going to go wrong here, boys. If it did, Billum's in charge, but we'll be back in just 2 seconds.
Okay. So we're going to move the scene forward just a few moments. So you guys are getting into your vac suits, and there's just the two of you in the airlock here, and there's maybe Silek is like there, and he's kind of making sure you're all geared up. And Silek's like double checking, triple checking all your seals and everything. And he's like, any problems, lads? You're fucked, okay? So he closes the airlock door, and then there's just this moment where you're facing each other. Now, generally speaking, there will be something like between 400 and 600 mile an hour winds on the other side of the airlock.
It's a bit windy.
Okay, generally speaking, but apparently the pressure and the winds have dropped to a level that pretty much guarantees you won't get sucked off. And not in a good way.
Oh! The only thing Dax likes more than stupid adventure.
So are you ready? Are you ready to...
Dax is just going to look at Zim.
Are you ready to vac suit?
Yay!
Right, so, can I
What's playing on your head cam? What music are you playing in your head cam, if you're playing anything?
Dax has got Welcome to the Jungle banging out in his. It's just building to that crescendo, that little guitar crescendo, and he's thumbing away to it. He's in his head. He's like, yep, we got fun and games. We're going in.
Zim's listening to Immortal Beloved, Beethoven.
Oh, beautiful.
As it opens up in the vista of the clouds and everything with the lightning bolts.
So,
quite cool.
Are you ready for the door to open?
Well, no.
Yep, more than I've ever been.
Bang.
Right, do we cable ourselves to the bulkhead or something so we don't get sucked out as well?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I would think you're going to be cabled.
And we've presumably, we'll have our mag boots on. Presumably we've got a handhold just so that we're not smacking around into each other. We'll try and brace ourselves.
Yeah, you're not talking about walking around the whole ship. You're talking about stepping outside.
Yeah.
And taking your mask off.
Yeah. Giving each other a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Getting a selfie.
Do Huey and Louie have magnetic sort of like feet so they could like walk outside the ship? No, not yet. I haven't refitted them yet.
Not yet.
Not to do that. Not to do
No,
that.
that's fine. No.
Not that. Not. They probably would have some capacity to sort of like walk outside, but not like magnetic, because you're then talking about them potentially walking up walls and shit like that.
Yeah, probably in
But
vacuum rather than in gas giant atmosphere. And if we've got the calculation wrong, we maybe lose them as well.
Yeah,
Now-
we probably need. Yeah.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to get Billum, because Billum's got the stick here. I'm going to get Billum to make a piloting roll, and we all know how good he is at this.
Oh God, if Billum kills us, I'll be livid.
See whether he's able to hold the ship still.
Does he have one death in Traveller? Can I come back from beyond the grave?
Yeah.
Oh God,
The Harrier's like, and you sort of step out and you get this kind of like feeling of like, you can feel the pressure, like you're basically being buffeted about. It's like a storm like nothing you've ever kind of felt. You've got seething clouds of gas and wind, and you know there's kind of lightning strikes. There's like thunderclaps all around you. It's,
Lydia, please play the volume louder, please, of my music.
It's a seething vortex, a kind of a chaotic mass, and you manage to sort of like lower yourselves out until you're standing on the side of the ship. And then there's this moment now where you're going to have to make a vac suit roll to basically stay on your feet. Your cable.
No one said about making rolls.
You're not going to die because not yet anyway. Just to basically stay on your feet, there will be a vac suit roll with something like either dexterity or endurance.
I'll take it dexterity.
Or strength. Actually, I'll let you choose your best. Strength, yeah. Yeah,
Well,
something.
I'll go for dex.
I'll take Dax, because Dax has got one very strong cyber arm, but Dax is not slowly grasping onto the thing. He's just standing proud. Uh-oh.
Okay, so what we're going to say here is, Zim, you're just managing to just hold on, but like the pressure's incredible, and you're almost kind of like being like buffeted about, and then you just manage to hold on, but you can barely do anything. You can kind of barely do anything.
Yeah. Not lifting any flesh plates anyway.
Dax, well, I'll give you a moment. I'm going to give you a moment. Dax, your feet just kind of like, you lift one foot and boom, and you go sliding along the hull of the ship until the cable goes boomf and gets pulled really tight, and then the cable is like flapping around like that, and you're being bam, 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 bam. You're being bashed against the side of the
does he
ship.
look really cool, or does he look like an idiot?
He looks like an idiot.
Looks like a moron.
Like an idiot. Yeah, looks like a moron. You're going to take 3 points of the damage.
Okay.
Okay.
Ow.
I'm going to take 3 points of damage. I'm going to let you take another roll. Zim, I'm going to let you get away with that. For that -1, but there might be a penalty associated with it. I'm going to let you make another roll to try and kind of get on your feet, because potentially you could get smashed to pieces out there.
Right. Another vac suit roll with Dex. Here we go.
Do you need one from me, Mike?
I was going to say I should have chosen to use luck first, but Dax is lucky with his dice or not. I will let the dice decide my luck. Okay, I'm struggling. I have not managed to right myself.
Shit, I didn't think of this. I'm going to let you take another 3 points of damage.
Yep. Done. And that is, so my endurance is now down to, I've taken 6 out of 8 endurance damage. So Dax he's getting smashed about in his vac suit. He feels his nose break on the inside of the vac suit visor.
Ow.
And there's sort of blood pouring in his vac suit. But he's grinning, bleeding teeth over his gums that have smashed into the front of his lips, but he's like, I'm gonna do it. I would like to use some luck, please, Mike.
Yep.
I would like to use 2 points of luck.
Okay. What are you doing, Raytal? You guys are watching this on the video screen, so there's like you and Cal.
I imagine that my statement's at the outer hull of the ship, and I suddenly hear this bomb. That sounds like a corpse banging up and down. So I'm like, I put away all my extra outfits and I go into the bridge to find out what's going on. And when I realise it's Dax on a tether trying to do some stupid gas giant space
Peering at the port window.
Yeah, I've got like a skylight. And it's like, we must have picked up something. So I'm like, oh my god, who are these idiots? And I say to Billum, is there any way we can help? You can.
We could reel him in. We could reel
You
him
can
in.
really. I mean, if you pilot, if you go up, there'll be no atmosphere at all, but that might be less buffeting. Right?
Let me
There'll be
see
no
it.
pressure.
Let me see if
no-
Billum can do a better piloting role to give you a
Make it
point
easier
of,
for-
to give you a bit of an effect, to give you a bit of a task chain. I mean, do you want him to do that, Dax, or do you want to use your look?
If I'm in contact with Billum,
Yeah.
Dax at this point is you just hear him sort of spit in his spacesuit, in his vac suit, and it's obvious that he's taken a bit of a pounding, and as has his ego, but he's like, "Don't you dare touch that stick, Billy boy! I'm fucking doing this."
Go on, try again.
Right, so plus 2 for the 2 luck.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, for God's sake!
Yeah, no, I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna give you that.
So-
You're gonna take another point of damage.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna let you say that's a success with consequence, and the consequence is you take a bit of damage.
So, can I sort of describe how this happens? Because I had an idea for how had an idea for how I was gonna do this if we were both successful, and we weren't. But this is an opportunity for it. So Dax is sort of slamming around into the deck. He manages to grab onto a hull plate with his cyber arm and just sort of steady himself. And at this point, he's feeling pretty sick and woozy. And all he can do is reach forward and grab the back of Zim's leg. So Zim, you're aware of him kind of flapping around behind you, and suddenly there's this grip on your leg, not with the cyber arm, with his other arm, and he pulls himself up the back of Zim's vac suit, and he's got one arm around Zim, just to sort of steady himself, and he's standing behind him, and he's sort of standing behind him as he gets to his feet, with both his hands under Zim's armpits. And that will hopefully figure in the next bit if we don't die.
Yes, you've managed to get onto your feet, and you are not dead. But that could all change. Are you ready to do the gas giant gamble, gentlemen? Are you ready to take your face masks off?
Absolutely.
You don't take them off. You just lift them.
You just lift them. So Dax will check with Zim. He'll just say, "Not my most glamorous hour, Doc, but you ready to see what the future holds for us?"
In for a penny, in for a pound of plutonium.
And Dax will lift his helmet.
Zip.
Okay. So you get this kind of like, is it hot? Is it cold? I don't
What does it
really
smell
know.
of?
Rotten eggs.
Uh,
Yeah, the terrible smell of kind of ammonia, rotten eggs. I would imagine it's probably, is it hot or cold? I don't really know. Probably could be freezing. Sorry, we've got a giddy dog just having his tea. You get the kind of like, you know when you're trying to catch your breath when you're like your face out of a car window or something like that. There's that sort of like, like trying to sort of catch your breath, and there's like, oh shit, I'm fucking panicking here, where you're sort of like trying to sort of catch your breath.
I'm
all
like that
around
if you get a trap fart in your jumper. You know, and you can do that, and you.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, all around you, you've got these kind of pulsing electrical fields, and this kind of like raging storm. Zim, can you make an electronic sensors roll, please? You're breathing. You're breathing in. You're breathing in, and then Zim, can you make an electronic sensors roll, please?
Can I use any modifier, or would you like me to use a certain modifier?
Probably intellect, please.
Okay,
The atmosphere is pure nitrogen.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
You're taking a few breaths. You tell me what you feel. You tell me what it's like to take these few breaths in this gas chat. Are you taking a selfie as you're doing it?
I'm gonna get Lydia to do a remote sensor log thing of it. You know what I mean? Inside the helmet, outside on the port, sort of like side of where we stood there now, and one from the airlock. So we've got like 3 pictures.
Yeah.
Okay. When Zim takes his first breath, the overwhelming smell of methane and also the trace mineral elements is quite strong and overpowering, and it does take his breath away. But also in that is a strange almost sensation of effervescence in his nostrils, like he's inhaled some sort of
Balsam salts.
yeah, very strange, and a bit of a harsh taste on the back of his throat, which is quite metallic. Not like it's blood, but it's like an oxidizing taste.
And what about you, Dax? What are you sort of detecting here?
So as the force of it slams into Dax's face, there's a bit of a wince because his nose is broken, and the blood that's been sort of pouring from it and pooling on his split lip just smears over one side of his face. It's like somebody just took a paintbrush and just painted red down one side of his face in his vac suit. All the mess that was in the vac suit is just drawn straight out, and the sort of side of his vac suit visor is just like a wash of red, as if somebody burst a paint balloon or something. And he's kind of rocked backwards. He's holding Zim under the arms, and the first thing he does, without even thinking, is he takes the deepest breath he can, because it's win or lose. There's one way to find out if the air is breathable. He's going to suck in a big lungful and hold it, and then let it out. But he can't let it out as easily as he would expect because of the force of the sort of the wind that's coming at him. And how tall are you, Zim?
6'2".
Okay, so they're about similar size then. So he's perhaps slightly protected by being behind Zim, but he feels that's cheating, so he's just going to lean his head ever so slightly to the right to get the full force of it in his face. And assuming he's not now asphyxiating in the atmosphere, he's going to scream into the wind. He's got Zim under the armpits. He's holding on to him, and he's just going to scream into the void with this big grin on his bleeding teeth. I'm the king of the world!
Chaos immortalized.
Right. Zim, you're detecting, and I guess the Harrier's constantly running sensors, and these are being relayed via the ship computer to lead you into you. You're detecting unusual atmospheric conditions just below the ship. Some kind of highly volatile weather anomaly.
Is there any indicated hazard with it? Other than being stood with an open face plate on, I guess I'm gonna be like...
Other than standing with your helmet off on the side of a spaceship in a gas giant,
with an umbrella.
Hard to say. There's basically some kind of atmospheric thingy going on underneath the ship.
Space Kraken.
Look down.
Well, you can see the ship.
Yeah.
Do you want to just wait
Want
a
to do
little
a
bit?
barrel roll?
Yeah, just Billy Boy, spin us round.
I think what we should do is we've done our bit. Faceplates down, back on board, go and examine the anomaly.
You want to do that, Dax?
Yeah, I would agree. Dax is sort of he's achieved his goal here. He seems to have survived the gas giant gamble. However, it's left him utterly battered, and he's going to have to put his best face on when he goes back to the crew, bloodied and smashed up.
Billy's like, I could spin it round if you want.
Dax is just going to go on then, real quick. Let's see it with our own eyes.
No, this is the Cthulhu equivalent. Go on, open the door.
No. He's already made a couple of good rolls, so I'm not gonna let him make a roll for this. He basically starts to roll the ship, and as he rolls the ship, something starts to come up.
Space Kraken.
It looks like it's coming up, but really you're rolling, and you've completely lost perception of up and down. It's pretty much meaningless. You just get this feeling of the environment around you just rotating through about 180 degrees, and then there's this. There's this like.
If there's tentacles that Zim's away.
There's this like thing hanging above your ship. I'm going to say it's like a huge amorphous kind of zeppelin, right? It's floating about a few hundred meters above you. It's hard to really tell because it's so hard to judge depth perception. It looks to be several kilometers long, and it resembles some kind of, it's sort of almost partially see-through, but it resembles like an iridescent kind of rainbow pattern with like a gossamer texture that kind of seems to sort of move and shift. Zim, you are detecting all sorts of crazy frequency electromagnetic waves. Yeah, you're detecting all these like crazy electromagnetic rays, X-rays, radio waves, visible light waves. It's the whole kind of spectrum, and these kind of like this color and pattern and shifting, scintillating shapes are just kind of flickering over it, and it's kind of like. Blah, 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 blah. Do you want to see a picture of this?
Yes, please.
So,
Thing?
Mike, I am not mistaken in saying a session or 2 sessions ago you mentioned rumours of organisms living inside gas giants, and we all went, "Ooh, how interesting!"
Did I?
I'm sure you did. I know there's rumours of the space kraken, but I thought you said something about there was a rumour that the gas giant may, or either this one or some gas giants have been rumoured to contain like softened life, but it's never been proven. I think, Zim, you might have discovered something brand spanking new here.
Where's the oh, you know, we like, where have I put that now? Here we go. Would it be there?
I'll close my character sheet. I'm not going to need that again tonight.
Oh, where have I put it?
Is it under Death Trap?
So,
Killer Monster.
have you entitled it Dax's Folly?
Yeah. Party Wife.
Where have I put it? Hang on, I might have to just give me a minute, guys, because I've kind of fucked up. Where have I put it?
Just open MSP. We would.
I might just have to just give me a minute, because it's a really lovely kind of image, and I'm like, where have I put it?
Do you want us to take a 2-minute pee break?
Just take a 2-minute pee break.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
I'll get a brew. Brill.
Yeah.
Be right back. I could do with taking a breath, given that there's oxygen in here.
Wonder where I put that. Wonder if it's there. Ah, here we go. How are you doing, Andy?
Extremely well.
You just finished work. You got back a bit late.
No, actually, I was in the gym this time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But have a little. When do I not have a little busy period? I should stop using it as an excuse. Sorry, I do apologize a lot, but about for 10 minutes I was heavy texting, but I think
It's
that's
okay.
over. I mentioned
okay.
everyone that I'll be back in 1 hour, and that's it.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. But I was, but I didn't miss the whole Dax almost dying apparently. It would be epic if Dax died this way. It would be epic.
It really would, wouldn't it? It'd be so much fun. I was
Oh.
like, it's what he probably wouldn't have died, because what would have happened? He would have been knocked unconscious. They would have wheeled him in. He just would have been like a bit of a kind of like cock up, like a bit of an embarrassment for him to sort of. He'd be very, very ashamed of that, which would have been extreme, which would have been hilarious in itself.
It would have been. It seems we are doing Gas Giant Adventure this evening. Where's the infamous trade ship, the treasure ship? Where is it? Is it hiding somewhere in Gas Giant, Mike?
We'll definitely get to it. We're going to finish this scene pretty soon, because you're all going to be dead. We'll start rolling some new characters.
Well, this time I did tell you I'm going to make a 60-year-old guy. Like, just with all the skills, all the XP, all the money. And instead of joining a pirate crew, he would just go on and just open an alchemy shop.
Just join a merchant crew.
Yeah, probably being robbed and killed by Dax, probably. Good weather, extremely good weather. Extremely nice.
Yeah, it was really nice today. I just sat outside before, it was really lovely. Just sat outside before, just like watching the world go by just for a little bit. It was really good. Yeah, just like 15 minutes. It was nice.
It is nice.
You kind of. One moment. Okay, no. I'm back.
Hello.
I'm back. Let me as soon as you guys are back, Dax will be here in a moment. Let me show you this. Let me show you this thing.
Okay.
Hello.
Did we see it in the as we were in the ship? Were the ship sensors picking it up as well? So we were aware of it.
The ship's sensors are not really. They're detecting something, but the visual sensors are seeing it.
Yeah.
The cameras are seeing it, and there's all sorts of readings going off about detecting things, but it's not anything that's
Not
really
normal, not usual. Okay.
definitely not usual. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
but you guys
Sorry,
can kind of
Dax.
see it on Dax's and Zim's helmet cams. There's some external cameras on the Harrier, so you guys can all see it. But these guys are almost like it's basically sort of hovering, kind of above them, kind of below them. Zim, would you make maybe a sophontology roll or some kind of science roll or planetology roll?
What would you like? Hold on. I have biology, physics, psychology, sophontology, and xenology.
Xenology.
Okay.
Probably education or probably say education.
Yeah. Oh,
Hey.
Wow.
Epic.
Zim, you are aware there are all sorts of reports about organisms that live within gas giants.
nothing ever confirmed.
No, there is some stuff confirmed. But not very common.
Yeah.
Kind of pretty rare, but definitely a species sort of known to be out there. Generally thought of as being like almost mindless in the way that jellyfish are mindless.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
kind of like they're living creatures that sort of move through the winds, absorbing nutrients, metabolizing, basically.
As far as we understand.
Yes, yes. You've actually heard or read a bit about these creatures, which are people have reported, various captains have reported on seeing. You think this is called an alohi.
Hello, hi.
It's basically ALO, like a hyphen, no, apostrophe, comma, apostrophe? Yeah, apostrophe.
Apostrophe.
Yeah, HEI, it's an alohi. They are thought to communicate through the visual and electromagnetic spectrum, using the shifting patterns of light to kind of communicate, but no one has been able to kind of communicate with them so far. And this thing is like pulsing. It's kind of like it's almost like pulsing these patterns.
Like those fish that have that kind of
Yeah, like bioluminescent.
Yeah. Do you know what this reminds me of? This scene reminds me a little bit of. Do you remember in Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
Yeah.
When the alien spaceship comes up over the mountain, and then it starts
It's like that blue light and
it's like that, yeah, with this kind of scintillating kind of light.
Does Zim's knowledge of these creatures tell us how to kill it?
They're not
why?
they're not thought to be dangerous.
No, well, that's never stopped us before.
No.
We're not Starfleet. We're not here to meet you alien civilizations. We're here to
But
valuable stuff.
imagine the paper you could get out, Zim, if we could use the Harrier's cloaking tech to do some kind of light show of our own and try and communicate with it.
The Harrier's got a holographic hull.
Yes.
Which you could potentially signal back to it.
Try and mirror its signals. I think we need to get in and try and do this. This is perhaps not the place to be doing it, standing out on the hull.
No. Could Zim make a phontology roll to see if there's any basic pattern or sense to these lights that it's displaying at the moment?
Make a self-phontology roll.
I have a feeling of what this event is. So basically, this creature was flying, and imagine it's like on the road, and like imagine you're occupying its lane and it's flashing you a dick, and Dax is like, and we mirror.
Yeah, don't go any deeper, lads.
No, you're a dick, and this is going to be just a typical space road rage.
It's episode 1 of Phantom Menace. He's just going, look out behind you, there's a bigger fish.
Yeah, so Zim, you think perhaps you could not communicate with it in a kind of like, hi, how are you? Well, you know, in a sort of level, but you might be able to kind of emulate its signals and copy its signals and broadcast back using the Harrier's holographic hull.
Right.
Do you want to do that?
No. I want to record all the data we can and then analyse it later. Because if these creatures only exist in gas clouds, it'd be useful as like mimicking if we ever get chased. We can always bugger off to a gas cloud, throw that on us, and they'll think we're one of these Alohi guys.
You do think it is trying to communicate with you, though?
Okay.
Because it is broadcasting a kind of signal. It is sort of, you also you can also detect your ship is being scanned.
If it's mating, we want to get back inside.
It seems like the creature is scanning you.
It's getting horny, innit?
Ready all weapons.
It's getting
Ready
horny.
all weapons.
It can't impregnate us, the cargo bay's full.
Well, I won't take this as an executive decision, guys, so...
I'll get on the comms or the box, whatever it's called. Tell these
I'll
two
make it as a suggestion, because it'd be highly interesting.
These two should get inside the ship right now.
Yeah.
Stop dicking about on the outside.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all, Kel. I think we're on our way back in.
Yeah.
Zim,
Yeah.
I think anything you...
this Dax as we're coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, look.
Yeah, that's it. We've seen it with our own eyes. Like, okay, the captain...
Wondrous sight.
The gas giant gamble is, is one thing, but to have done that and seen an Alohi with the naked eye rather than senses. Yeah. But Dax is very much of the opinion, as he and Zim put their faceplates back down, and we're just on the comm dots, and we're sort of clambering back in, Dax is just going to say, I don't think we're going to get many chances like this, Zim. I think you should be studying this thing as much as you can before we move on. We'll be scooping for a good hour or so yet.
Can I interest you in a brandy once we've completed this current manoeuvre, Dax?
More than at any other time in my life, Doc.
Dr. Zim, I'm going to ask you to make another roll of either sophontology or xenology to see if you can cobble together some... Did you say you want to try and communicate back with it or not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's possible to figure out.
Yeah, something, basically, some kind of communication.
I'll do sophontology.
Okay. Wow, even a shit roll for you is really, really good now.
Zim is super good at science.
Yeah, the glass cannon when it comes to aliens.
You know what? You've just scienced the shit out of it, mate. Because you've kind of seen some kind of pattern in its kind of like scintillating kind of rhythm that you think you might be able to emulate and perhaps develop a little bit. So I want you to sort of now imagine this huge amorphous shape that is about 3 kilometers long, hanging over the ship, which your ship is about 75 meters long. So it's really, really tiny compared to the thing. And this is waves of scintillating patterns. Your ship is being scanned by all sorts of different radio waves, electromagnetic waves, different frequencies, X-rays, and all around you you've got the writhing storm of the gas giant. It's a completely sort of crazy, chaotic environment, and you're starting to broadcast back this pattern. And there's this moment, we're like in Close Encounters where they're like the humans start going bab 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 bab, and it's kind of going back and forward, and then it's almost like we're taking over this conversation. There's this, and it's kind of like this kind of like pattern, and you don't really know what you're saying to it
until it mounts the ship.
You're in a conversation. You're having a conversation, and this moment, and you guys are all kind of like just transfixed watching.
Pure science, gentlemen. Pure science.
Watching the cameras, and this, watch the science at work. And this situation goes on for several minutes, and then the thing starts to kind of flash a little bit more of a kind of rhythmical, yes, it's like that, open its Mac, and then it just starts to kind of move slightly away, slowly away, and gradually the conversation seems to kind of come to an end as this thing sort of starts to move off and disappear off into the clouds, away, and you can finish your gas giant maneuvers and finish your skimming, and you get this kind of feeling of
dirty feeling.
no, it's a feeling of privilege.
Yeah, it's like serenity. Like as Dax, cause presumably we're back inside now. Like so as Dax re-enters the airlock, and maybe to the dirty look on Silik's face, especially as he takes his vac suit helmet off and his nose is broken. There's blood all over his face. There's blood on the outside of his vac suit. You know, he's chipped a tooth, and there's when he smiles, there's blood on his gums. And he sort of staggers his way back in because he's got one endurance left. He staggers his way back into onto the bridge, and he's got this great big grin on his face. But it's not the usual sort of Dax, that was stupid, but we did it grin. It's just this really satisfied smile. And for the first time, nobody who's known Dax this whole time, including Zim, Silik and Billum, who've known him for over a year now, have ever seen this. But he's openly weeping. He's got tears coming down the side of his face. And initially it might look like he's just in pain because he's smashed his face up. But particularly those that know him, they're just like, it's obvious that was a really transformative experience. That's what Dax lives for, is the unknown and the weirdness in space, and he's just had this moment of absolute cosmic uniqueness.
Yeah, there'll be few people. The number of people who will have ever seen one of those, and the numbers who would have been outside the ship.
The number who saw it with their naked eyes, with their visors off.
You can probably count them on one hand.
You can probably count them on two fingers.
Yeah. So Dax and Zim, I'm going to give you a boon.
Oh,
excellent.
Right, to use whenever you wish, which basically means you roll 3 dice and you choose the best 2.
I'll save that for my healing roll.
Yeah, you can kind of basically have that at any point. So you have to make a little note of it somewhere that you've got a single boon, because you've just encountered something that's a real kind of privilege to sort of encounter. And that, gentlemen, is going to be the end of that scene. We're going to move the scene on. Zim, you will
we didn't shoot it then. What a shame.
Do you want to shoot
it? Nope. Captain's decision. Nope.
Yeah, you're also going to get the opportunity, Zim, to do some scientific research on that, and perhaps to produce certainly to produce a paper.
That's what Zim was going to do.
Yeah. All Dax will caution is we want to use all the data that we've gathered from the coup. We want to be careful not to use anything that's got an identifier for the location of the gas giant, because if we get a whole load of researchers coming into this gas giant to try and expand on the research,
anonymised.
Yeah. So it was a gas giant of X amount of size somewhere in the Trojan Reach.
Yes. And that'll be...
I won't even give him that.
You might work on that. You might work on that for several weeks, or perhaps more, in terms of the data on that, and just basically analysing it. And what we'll do is, at some point, if I give you some XP, you might choose to put that XP towards a science skill that would be, at some point, if I ever decide to give you any more XP, which I'm not going to do.
You could apply for some research funding, and Radar could handle the cash.
We're going to go now, gentlemen. We are going to go to the starport at Arancia. We're going to go to the downport, yes. Because you've been to the high port, you can go there if you want. You can sell your goods. Doesn't really matter where you sell them. You can kind of sell them there if you want.
But we had a few people we wanted to meet at the downport, didn't we?
Did have a few people who wanted to meet at the dipole. Let's take you to the... Oh, go on.
Sorry, Mike, I was just going to say very quickly. We're about a week in transit. I can't remember how healing works in the game. Can I heal any endurance during that time?
Heal it all.
Perfect, thank you, buddy. Excellent GMing as always.
Yeah, just like you've got Zim, who's got medic. You've got an auto doc.
Yes,
you've got
of
a week
course.
and a bit. Like we'll just kind of hand wave and say you can heal all that through. Let's take you to the map of. It's not really the map of Aranacea. It's the port. It's the down port at Port Amalgo.
Ooh, no token with vision in the scene.
Oh, let's just have a look here. Now, for some reason, I probably put the wrong sort of audio on this. So
All right, got it now.
let's just change that. Let's put that. Let's change that to. Let's change it to that.
So is this the planet? The high port above the planet was where we met earlier, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's the same system where Dark Knight base is.
Yeah.
This is the same system.
But
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. If you go onto your system data,
yeah.
you
And
go
have you
to-
guys been down onto the planet's surface before?
no,
Have we not? Did Raytar not meet?
no.
No, it's everyone was at the high point. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is the first time then down on
You've never-
planet surface.
Yeah, you've never been down there. This is our. If we remember, if I just pop this up for you, this is our system map.
Mm-hmm.
We've got
Please.
it's a binary star system. So you've got on the left you can see Apsho primary, and on the right you've got Apsho secondary, which is red dwarf, very very fucking far away. And then you've got all these planets. Aranacea is it towards the front, towards the hot edge of the habitable zone. So it's pretty hot. You know, it's pretty wet. It's kind of tropical areas of swamp, lots of areas of kind of jungle, arboreal forest, kind of that kind of thing. It is. Let's kind of put that on there. And this is all these images are available in your Aranacea system data.
Yeah.
Gravity is 1.03, so very, very comparable with sort of like what would be Terra. You know, it's tropical, hostile climate, swamp, arboreal forest, tropical jungle. Conquered a couple of hundred years ago by the Aslan, who are generally considered the oligarchs, but they have a very light touch. They have their own city, and they tend not to interfere with the running of the world. It's mostly sort of human, really. The Aslan rulers are much considered almost like kind of like figureheads, really. If you remember, this was our high port. You have been there several times.
Yep.
The high port is run by the Aranacea Port Authority, so it is connected to the planet. But the high port was built by Jedico after the old one was destroyed by the Aslan. Jedico came in and said, "We'll rebuild you another one. We might charge you a little bit for it."
For a price.
For a price, yes. This is the kind of landscape. Cannabis everywhere.
Is it?
Look at it.
Probably.
It's Weed World.
It's Weed World, yeah. And this is the what you might know from the sort of data images. This is Taranai City. This is an Aslan city.
Yep, that's where I want to go.
That is built into the side of an epic waterfall.
Wow.
But travelling there is a permit only. So you know about the two shows. You know about Aranacea River Wardens, featuring Sam Prosetti.
That's Dax's favourite.
Yeah. And you know about Woman versus Woods with Kate Alkabashi.
Which Bill prefers.
Yeah.
That's Fallout 4, that.
Yeah.
You're aware that there is a human nationalistic movement called the People's League. Should have called it the Human League. The People's League. I might change it to the Human League for fun. That they are active on the planet. And
Soleimani.
yes, and that your friend, no, this guy you met, let's say not guy friend, Lord Athley Yorilad, who was the nationalist, had said, if you come down to the planet at any time, you should come and pay me a visit. Just contact me when you get to the starport. So there's a contact there. You've also got Ekaft, who's the Aslan Lord of Port Amalgo. Now, Port Amalgo is the main starport at the sort of basically where the main sort of starport is. And that is what you're.
He's the one that Raytar gambled with.
He's the one that Raytar gambled with. He's the one that Raytar bought the surfboards from. And he was the one who was a fair bit impressed with Raytar, actually, because he admired his bottle and standing up to him. And he said, if you come down to the surface, come and visit me. So you've got two people there, two guys who you could potentially go and meet. You've also got this guy, he's called Gazan Garda.
Oh.
He was a merchant, broker. What do I smell burning? He was a broker. He's based at the High Port, so you might have cause to call on him, but he's a contact you've got there. And then you've got this guy, Aporarasi. He runs a small interstellar business importing starship parts from industrial imperial worlds to the backwater worlds of the Trojan Reach. He says business is good at the moment, and he's been pretty friendly and interested in hearing any tales of your travels. And we're going to say, at some point recently, maybe at your last, maybe we will say you called in at the High Port to sell your goods. We're going to say that at that time you met, maybe in the where you were in a bar, or maybe in a casino, just kind of chit chatting to people as we do. You met this guy. This is Patrick O'Leary, who is a deckhand on this Imperial treasure ship, the Martin II, which has had to make an emergency landing. So this is when you meet him for the first time. Okay, so that everything that we mentioned before was a bit of a sort of preview, and he's basically doing a bit of gambling on the High Port, but the ship is down on the planet's surface, and if you can see on our background image there, guys. You'll see Port Amalgo. It's a coastal city, town, with a sort of central road that goes through it. On the north side of the road, you've got the landing pads, and on the sort of south side of the road, you've got what would be called the Star Town, which is basically just the overspill from the sort of port. Let's not that one. Okay, here we go.
Dax would just make the point as we approach the High Port that if, and I think there are many reasons we want Raytar to leave the ship, because he's made a lot of these contacts in the first instance. While we were flying out to Dark Knight Base, Raytar was the one who met a lot of these characters, and he's the only point of contact we've got. But I think if Raytar is leaving the ship and out and about, he should be wearing Kel's disguise face mask thing rather than just walking openly.
To be honest, two things. First of all, I think I'm wearing disguise all the time now, just by default. This is like my second nature, a non-criminal face. But also, I wonder, since I met those people, since I met those guys as a Raytar, what's going to happen? They will probably recognize me being bounty hunted, and I might, as a Raytar, be not as useful to re-establish contact with at least some of them. Like, for example, Merchant, Gazan, yeah. For example, Merchant, Gazan, Garda. Raytar wouldn't want to come up and say to him, "Hey, do you remember we've met?" He'd be like, "Oh, aren't you the guy I've met? And by the way, is it a bounty on you?" No. Probably Raytar would like to open his face only to key characters, like someone really important for really important event.
Okay.
And probably instead of opening face, he would just in advance kind of
Yeah.
undisguised.
Yeah. I think the
Instead of,
one
like doing that shit.
I completely agree. Like before we meet that given individual, the mask is off, but during normal walking around, it's on. The one
And I would say, but
character,
it's all the time.
yeah,
Always like that. That's my second nature now. We are not backstorying. It's always on.
Yeah, it's always on unless you tell me otherwise.
yeah.
Okay.
So the one character that I think it'd be really useful that we do need Raytar's introduction for really is the Aslan, because he was the one that you impressed. You know, he's got an actual relationship and a respect for you, and he's less likely to be interested in human bounties from Cordan Highport
Yes,
as an
he's not
Aslan.
going to. He's
Probably
definitely
doesn't
not
need the
caring.
money, right? He probably doesn't need money. He's the Lord.
Yeah,
Probably
He's
will
like,
be impressed even more if I'm a criminal.
yeah, exactly. So I think for him that's sort of the key one we want Raytar being Raytar for. Everybody else we can just sort of say, oh yeah, you met our cabin boy who bought your surfboards.
So before we, you're moving into the planet, and you kind of catch this, you've got this lush green and blue landscape. It looks very, very beautiful. Very little in the sort of terms of built-up kind of infrastructure, almost kind of like Precambrian Earth. Like just kind of super, super green. Zim, can you make a sensors roll, please? An electronic
I
sensors
certainly
roll.
can.
There's a giant amorphous blob flashing lights at you off the port side.
Following us.
They've come on an invasion fleet like you asked them to when you communicated with them.
Zim, as your ship maybe, did you jump into system or did you transit through ordinary space?
I think we said last week that where possible we were going to jump on the basis that we're in real space as little time as possible, given that we're wanted for the Cordan thing.
Okay. So not long after you've jumped into real space, it's going to take just a couple of hours to transit from the jump point to the planet. I've sort of calculated it somewhere. In fact, Andy's calculated it as well. It's a couple of hours. You notice, Zim, there's a transmission from your ship to the high port. It looks like some kind of
Illicit. It's not a standard negotiation sort of like communication thing.
What did you roll? It looks like some sort of mail.
Ooh.
Can I trace where it's come from on board the ship?
Yeah.
Stella.
Okay.
Yeah, you can make a roll if you want. Make another roll. You definitely detected it.
Again, sensors or... Yep. Okay.
Do it.
It's broadcast to the high port.
Good.
Yeah, well, it looks like it's got Calistinius's ID signature attached to it.
Okay. Can I access it?
Yeah, of course you can. Do you want to have a look
Okay.
at it?
Yep.
Something else though. There's something else though, Zim. There's like
Underneath it.
Underneath it, yeah.
All right.
It's partially encrypted.
Ha ha.
Or it's encrypted, but maybe you might be able to hack it.
I've got computers too.
Okay, so make a computer's electronics roll.
Okay. Use Mint for this one.
Oh.
Oh, fucking hell, smashed it.
What does it tell me?
Okay. This is the encryption.
Oh.
Verging on the competent. He obviously wrote this before we did our stupid spacewalk. This is amazing.
Stench. The madman.
So Phil came up with this last week and messaged me, and I was like, "This is fucking genius, mate. This is like brilliant. I loved it."
So you're more than just royalty, Cal.
I'm much more than I see.
Charmingly rustic. I love it.
So he's basically broadcast this message once you've reached the high port to get sent back to Drinax with this little hidden one kind of underneath. And whether you choose to do anything about that, whether you want to keep it to yourself, Zim, do you want to sort of give that to anyone? You want to keep it to yourself?
I'm going to have a quiet word with Dax. Because there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah, I mean, Dax will look over that. I think we were expecting, with Kel's arrival, there was going to be a degree of oversight. And as it stands at the moment, Dax is quite flattered by his description, which is the first thing he reads. He's like, where's me, where's me, where's me? Madman. He's like, oh yeah, I did smack around outside the ship trying to breathe a gas giant. Yeah, fair dues. But we expected a bit of oversight. And to Dax's mind, one of the pressures that he's had in his head is we made this promise to Oleb, and at certain periods in our pirating history, we've been quite regular with sending him tribute and all the rest. And sometimes, by necessity, we've been lying low and so on. So actually, having a bit of additional feedback that perhaps Drinax doesn't know we know about, that's saying, look, it's going okay at the moment. What Dax will say to Zim is monitor, if you can get a lock on this channel and monitor it as we go, so we are aware of communications. But for now, I don't see a problem with that. You know, I think transparency with Oleb is not a problem, and none of us are trying to undermine his plan. We're all on board with it. But we want to monitor that in case of any nasty surprises.
So us to be forearmed.
I couldn't agree with you more, Dark.
Jury Ip says, absolutely right.
Jury Ip does not get involved.
Where did he come from?
Yeah, just kill him.
Oh, sorry, yeah, sorry, you didn't hear that.
Yeah, this is just Zim and I, like literally nobody else.
This was later on when we were having our brandy in my private quarters, and I was just updating Dax on the current medical profiles of all the crew.
And we were just marvelling between us at something that we may be the only two people in the galaxy who's ever experienced in the way we did.
Yeah, you might have had a life-changing experience there.
100%. Dax, when we get to the Star Town, wants to find a tattoo parlour to get a tattoo of an aloha on his on his arm.
And it just looks like a blob.
Yeah, because he's describing it. It's like a jellyfish cock with lights on it. All right. This then.
Mike, sorry. What I was going to ask, I was just looking for an opportune time. When we were speaking about Aslan earlier, and when we've been playing earlier games, with our different encounters that we've had, plus that we've got the soy Aslan knives.
Yeah, the monkey blades.
Yeah, all I'm talking about really is immersive stuff. But it'd be just nice to do a little bit of immersive stuff with Aslan culture. Now, would I be right in assuming that Aslan display sort of like territorial and clan lineages on like Japanese heraldry almost?
Yeah.
You know, they would wear it, third son of the Viscount of the last tribe of whatever.
Definitely would be proud of their clan. And their ancestors. Like, they have ancestor worship. Clans are everything. Family is everything.
Yeah.
Honor. You would know this, Sim.
Yeah.
Honor is everything.
Well, we would know this because we've been on an Aslan ship. We've had an honor duel.
Exactly.
And I think this was a conversation that Mike and I had as well in one of the sessions, that Dax's big thing that he wants to do here, the only thing that really lights the light up in his eyes, is he wants to go and speak to the Aslan. Because we've got these monkey blades, and he wants to boast about how he's met the Haiti and his encounter, but he also still remembers that warning that Haiti captain gave us, which was get out of this sector because bad times are coming. And in Dax's mind, it's better to be on the Aslan's good side at the moment than any other, perhaps other than Drinax, any other
Alien
sort of
race.
or human race, stuff the Imperium, but if the Aslan sweep over here, he wants to have good standing with them.
So holding that thought, Mike, what Zim wanted to do was fabricate, which I didn't think would be a major thing, sort of like Aslan badges, the equivalent of like symbols saying this monkey.
Hello, my name is Zim.
Yeah, served Lord whatever in this endeavour, bringing, whatever. Like he earned a Hazoi monkey knife for his actions with Lord so and so, and like Dax was just like acknowledging in Aslan culture that we're more than just monkeys that have just stepped off the boat, if you know what I mean.
Go on, Andy.
It's like the nose, sort of. And by the same respect, they would be expecting a certain degree of sort of like respect and politeness back. It's like, you're wearing our symbols, so you got to play by our rules, that sort of thing.
Nice. Go on, Andy, you're going to ask something.
Sorry,
Well,
Andy.
Raider, no, I was just a little bit nervous. Raider was a little bit nervous. Did Raider hear this idea?
I don't know.
About those badges.
Well, Zim's been thinking on it for a wee while, so he would have been discussing it openly, because he wouldn't have found it as being something to be.
Yeah, and
secret.
Dax would already be sort of strapping on the monkey knife and saying, he'll be telling people on the way in that's what he's interested in. He'll be quizzing Raitar about this Aslan he met and how we could get in touch with him.
So Raitar's only personal opinion and impression is that Aslans wouldn't tolerate servability unless it's properly engaged. I wouldn't think that faking and aligning by the Aslan culture would get us any further than by behaving as more like equal and more honorary. And we maybe already have a little bit of a way into the Aslan world through this connection.
Well, we definitely do.
And I would potentially see being extremely direct and extremely simple in a way about how we communicate without an intent to align. Align unnaturally.
So Dax's approach to this, because I think this ties in. Dax's approach was he wants to meet the guy, and his first thing would be to walk straight up to him and say, not necessarily in his usual Dax way, but to say, to show proper deference and respect. But he is going
communication. You've got the symbology of the species, like they do themselves.
But
so they know straight away that you're a guy that's interacted with this species before.
But in terms of
it's not specifically aligning them.
Yeah, but to Raitar's point, it wouldn't be from a sort of submissive servitude approach, because Dax is going to lead straight away with the fact that he defeated Aslan in single combat. There was an honourable duel, and he won it, and he immediately wants to
something to us.
Yeah, that's it. He immediately wants to go up and puff out his chest and be like,
"You've got those blades.
Yeah,
those blades count for something.
They do.
Yeah, those blades count for something.
Yeah.
Let me show you the first look as your ship zooms, and we need Dan for this little scene where he does the sound effects as the Harrier sort of comes in low over Port Amalgo. You see the actual port itself. It looks pretty tatty. The sort of starport on the north side of the sort of main kind of road there, or like train line, whatever it is. You see the starport, and the centerpiece of the starport is actually a rather ancient Aslan assault carrier, which is that big shell type thing there. That's it looks like it's been picked apart a bit, but it looks like it's basically the sort of head of the sort of starport, the center of the starport, and around it there are a number of other buildings, command building, control buildings, missile turrets, lizard-like birds kind of flit through the skies, and your ship kind of comes down. It's possible. It's possible that as your ship sort of comes down to its kind of landing port, that you'll see the kind of like landing pad that potentially the Martin II, the Imperial treasure ship, that big yellow ship, is landed on. And it's you notice perhaps as you're sort of coming in, as you're sort of dropping down either through cameras or looking through the windows, that you'll see that the Martin II is sort of perched at a bit of a funny sort of angle in relationship to where you might classically land. The landing pad underneath its feet has cracked, and that the actual ship itself is bristling with cranes and scaffolding, and there's a beehive of people kind of working kind of around it.
Came down hard.
Came down hard, yeah, definitely came down hard. We could actually move the scene quite quickly forward to meet in Ekaft if you wish. Let me just quickly, would that be okay to do that? If I just quickly take you through the sort of downport.
Mm-hmm.
If at any point you want to stop and explore anything as I sort of get you through to that scene, then you could definitely stop me at any point. The actual customs, if you want to sort of call it that. You know when you go on holiday,
Yeah.
and you get off the airplane and you just get that wall of heat.
Yeah.
I want you to imagine that. You step off the Harrier, and you instantly feel. Yeah, you instantly feel this like wall of like humidity, and within minutes you're fucking sweating. You're absolutely sweating. It's very, very hot. The starport, the landing pads, they're sort of teeming with life. There's like these like fucking huge insects, like big black insects, like the size of your hand. Big lizardy, birdy kind of things, which seem to eat them.
Well, winged dragonfly, that sort of thing.
Yeah. You've got like this thrum of like insecty kind of cicadas. The downport itself is quite tatty. There's even a few wooden buildings. It looks pretty shabby. You might see just a couple of ships in dock. You'll see, in fact, actually, Bill and Dax, I want you to make a intellect roll. Just a straightforward intellect roll.
That's Dax's
Matt.
strong point.
This is an Aslan-controlled world.
Conquered by the Aslan 200 years ago, but
Is there an
controlled
Aslan presence?
at that Taranai city, but not at Port Amalgo,
Right,
apart from the Lord of Port Amalgo.
right.
Yeah.
The Aslan, there's not many of them. Let's just say there's not many of them. The humans outnumber the Aslan something like 20 to 1.
Just thought this would be like ideal hunting grounds for Aslan if they wanted to do a bit of healthy exercise and sport on the locals and the wildlife, I should say. Do you know what I mean?
What did you roll for those rolls, guys?
I got an 8.
Okay.
Who else was rolling? Because you said me and Bill.
Zim.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
What did you want me to roll?
Just a straightforward intellect roll.
Intellect roll. Cool.
Let's see if you recognise something.
Oh.
Okay. You both clock this ship. Small, like a free trader. Ubiquitous kind of free trader. It's landed on maybe an adjacent pad. It's called the Hopeful Wanderer.
Oh.
Oh, is it that Doodoo sold us the star thingy plate for Squirrel's Dave?
No,
Wasn't
you
it?
remember Dax?
It was a bloke and his wife, wasn't it? That were
Yes.
yeah.
Do you remember when
We met them on porn. Was it? Oh, was it Calgai Salute?
Yes. Yeah, and you were chatting to this couple.
That's right.
You were chatting to this old couple who were like space traders.
Yeah, almost like space hippies.
Space hippies, and they were like they were kind of ribbing each other quite affectionately, and they were like, where are you from? They were quite interested in you guys. We're talking about an event that happened 3 years ago in real time, guys. So like, don't worry if you
Oh,
don't.
that's where Zim got his graph stuff from, I think, wasn't it?
Yes,
We
it was
bought
that same...
we bought stuff off them.
Yeah, mercurial stuff.
You didn't get it from them, but you got it at the same.
We
same
did.
location.
Same
Yeah.
site. Right. Okay.
You got it at the same location. So that ship there, the Hopeful Wanderer, is in port as you sort of land, and you're walking across, and you might see a couple of bored-looking starport staff, maybe like cleaning, bit of brushing, stopping for a cigarette, sitting down, drinking some coffee, just kind of watching you, kind of sweating. The actual starport interior is pretty small, tatty, sweaty. There aren't many travellers. It looks pretty quiet. You might have a bored-looking security guy who doesn't even look at you as you walk in, no matter what weapons you might be carrying. Doesn't really sort of react. We mentioned this old landing pad. There's also, if perhaps you were maybe mooching around outside, looking around the sort of outside of the starport, just sort of seeing if there's anything to do while you sort of chat about what you might want to do. There's a fair bit of graffiti, mostly on the outside of the starport.
Oh, it's the Human League again.
And there's another one as well.
Very high lives.
Do we know what that refers to? Or
Don't know what that refers to.
right.
You also might see, guys, a tattered, tired old poster on a wall, perhaps. Just kind of hanging. You might see it. It's kind of partially crumpled up, scrumpled up.
Like the one we've got from that guy's wallet.
Yeah,
They're everywhere.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
You might see it like just on a sort of edge of a notice board, like faded. It's partly covered up by someone's put some flyer for a bar on.
Raytar, you said you were wearing like a mask these days.
Yeah.
Do you have any? Could you describe what you look like? Is it just like that, Raytar, but with blonde hair? Or
With a mask
have
on
you
his
got
face
big
wall.
shades and a big
Fake nose. A fake
Yeah,
nose.
fake nose and big glasses.
What do you look like?
Well, we might generate a new face for Raider. For
I
that
think that needs to happen.
I reckon it's bold.
Uh-huh.
It's
The
much
blonde
more.
Mohican.
Hmm?
With a blonde Mohican. With tribal tats down one side of your face.
I'd say he's bold and older because I think this kind of behavior will naturally fit his character. Whenever someone will talk to him, he would expect Raytar to be old, bald, grumpy guy, and this is exactly the disguise Raytar is wearing.
Sure.
And if Raytar is wearing true Raytar's age face.
Okay. He's
He's
cosplaying as Raytar, basically.
Yeah, because Mike, what I said is that whenever someone is talking to Raytar, imagine he doesn't see Raytar, and Raytar speaks the way he is. He would imagine to see old, grumpy, bald guy. That's just natural, same as I. Yeah, so it's kind of natural feeling you get. That's what Raytar is wearing, a true face.
Right. Okay. Cool. Okay, so you kind of like, you sort of bumble about and you're sort of like deciding what to do. Maybe like trying to get in contact with Ekaft to decide, get a bit of a time scale. And you manage to get in contact with him, or through one of his kind of lackeys. And he gives you directions to his house, which is, if you look on the map here, it's it's somewhere sort of east of the sort of mountains there, perhaps where that sort of river comes in from the mountains, just in the sort of foothills, kind of there, which is that is, I think, distance wise, that's about six. Don't want that one. how do we delete that now? Delete. Ah, okay. Yeah, so that distance it's only about 6k. Would you want to walk or would you want to go in the grav vehicle? And who would you want to take with you? Decide who you want to take with you.
Who's going to see?
You're going to go and see Ekaft, the Aslan.
Oh yeah, Zim will go unless
Yeah.
unless anyone needs me anywhere else.
It's someone of my status as a noble, so I think I'll definitely go.
Well, Dax obviously wants to go. Dax definitely wants Zim with him because
Raytar's got to go, hasn't he?
Raytar has to go, and the more that Kel sort of comes with us and gets stuck in and does stuff, the more he has a bit of respect from Dax, but also the more Dax can get a sort of feel for him and sort of see what hidden skills he's got. So yeah, I think we'd do that, and I think we'd probably leave Billum behind, and say we've perhaps brought Billum and sort of Silic and some of the engineers with us. They can all kind of stop at the starport, but I think the four of us would definitely go.
So it's just the four of you who are going to go to visit Ekaft. If anyone else was to join us next week suddenly, like if Dan was to suddenly appear, or Bill, we'll retcon it and we'll say
they could easily be with us, but or perhaps unless retconned, one of the two of them is flying us in the grab vehicle and waiting with it.
Yeah. Okay. So as you're sort of mooching about, just waiting to get in contact with this guy. I'm going to say Raytar, you're the one who's kind of leading that because you're the one who's kind of met him. And you're the one who we said, but that was about 3 months ago. That was quite a few sort of 100 days ago now. But you managed to get in contact with him, and he says he gives you the directions to his house, or you get in contact with one of his lackeys, and pretty soon, a couple of hours perhaps after sort of bootling about, you manage to get a location to kind of pilot the grav vehicle over. Has anyone got flyer grav?
Dan was our grav pilot. Scratch was our grav pilot.
I've got flyer.
All right.
But not flyer. Grav. I think it's flyer.
Flyers
unspecified.
Okay. You can basically fly it. So I think you're going to be the pilot here.
Sure.
This vehicle. As you're sort of perhaps walking back to the Harrier to get the vehicle, and maybe in the distance you can kind of see the treasure ship, the hulk of the treasure ship. Let's just kind of like show you that picture again, so you can remind yourself,
drool over it,
of what this huge, big Imperial treasure ship looks like. They say the treasure ship has been designed so it looks like a fist clutched around the wealth of the Empire. Of the Imperium, rather. Normally, they would transit as part of a flotilla. And this treasure ship, the Martin II, was indeed part of the flotilla until it suffered some kind of problem and was forced to make an emergency landing. The rest of the flotilla has left, except there's the Martin II. And there is also here's the Hopeful Wanderer. This is the kind of ship. This is your sort of ubiquitous kind of free trader.
Yeah,
class free trader. You've also got in orbit, and you would have detected this. In orbit, there is a Gazelle class close escort called the Kimono.
Oh.
Now the Kimono is an Imperial warship, 400 tons, 400-ton hull. It's an anti-piracy ship. It's capable of a decent jump, and it's pretty quick. Probably not quite as quick as the Harrier, but it's reasonably well armed and armored, and more than a match for most opportunistic pirates. You also know that the Martin II is waiting on a repair crew that have been. They're trying to conduct repairs, but they're also waiting on an Imperial repair crew to arrive. And as you guys are perhaps walking back to the ship to get the G carrier, there's like a and this black scout ship buzzes the starport really low. It comes in super, sort of almost like supersonic kind of speeds. This kind of thing. There's all like flocks of birds leave the trees. This is the kind of thing that we're talking about.
Ooh, nice.
I want you, Dax, to make a. Sorry, it's a bit Dax and Zim, but primary session this in terms of because there's a few things they will need to remember. I want Dax to make a intellect roll, or maybe a streetwise roll, and I want Zim to make a senses roll.
It looks serious, that vessel. Oh, bugger.
Double bugger.
Okay, that's fine.
No, it's not.
Your hands explode.
We don't know what it is. We don't need to know everything.
I'm going to ask if there is a chance, because Raider was having this plan of doing some piracy, and for that purpose he inquired in the open sources about the ships, the probes, the drones, and kind of went through a lot of library of the ships. If by chance, could Raider potentially see anything like that or similar, he could maybe check if he recognizes the ship. But I'm not saying he should. I'm not saying he should. I'm just checking if that would align with the...
You don't recognize the ship. You know it's a scout ship. And,
okay.
Yeah, you know it's a scout ship. I can't remember. I think scout ships have jump 2. I think maneuver 2, thrust 2, or thrust 1. Can't quite remember. I think it might be thrust 2. They're quicker than free traders, quicker than a reasonable jump. They're exploration kind of vessels. Yeah, it buzzes the starport, comes in steep, goes off, and then tails off and heads back up, and you're sort of like, it's a bit unusual. Should we move you towards Ekaft? And I think let's finish the session. Let's just go and see his house. And,
I need to see his house before we finish.
And then we'll finish the session there.
That's what she said. Anyway.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I just got that.
The Aslan Lord of Port Amalgo, Lord Ekaft, he lives in this lush tropical foothills of the mountains to the east of the starport. And you're going to arrive probably kind of dusk-ish. Not too, just in time for sort of dinner kind of time. And your grav vehicle lands in this little kind of private landing pad. And you're disgorged, and you're going to sort of walk across the sort of kind of like beautiful tropical kind of landscape. There are a number of moving around in the trees. There's these numbers of small little monkey type things that are about the size of a human child, maybe, that have like quite vicious looking teeth, and they're sort of like little baboony type things that are like kind of watching you. And that's, gentlemen, where we're going to finish our session.
Wow.
That was
very, very, very ultra immersive. Really, really good.
Excellent.
Okay, I have official question to GM.
Yep.
If Dax, in the attempts to save himself after first or second, would roll a 1-1, would it be actual chance of him dying, like dying in the game, or would you allow him pull him in?
He would have injured himself till he got knocked out, and then they would have reeled him in using the sort of wire, and he would have survived, but he would have basically been highly embarrassed. the crew morale would have gone down, which means that they're going to lose a bit of respect for the captain.
Okay, but even with the 1-1s, you know, kind of the worst roll, you would have allowed that.
I wouldn't have killed him. I wouldn't have killed him for that, but he wouldn't have got
Because-
the boon.
I think the real tense, next time tell that you would have killed, that would be the real tense of the
I
situation.
might have killed him.
But
Who knows?
Yeah!
The thing is, the
Because
game-
I thought we were about to lose Dax, actually. When he said he's going
Yeah.
to do that, I thought maybe he'll die.
I did it full well in the knowledge that I thought it was probably lethal. And the thing is, if the game had killed me, if the mechanics and the rolls and the damage and all the rest of it had finished me off, it's sort of the way Dax would have wanted to go.
He potentially could have died. It would be quite harsh to kind of kill him for that. But I would have he might have survived, but there would have been like some real penalties. Crew morale would have been hit. He would have looked like a bit of an arse.
Or
Zim
his
would have
sanity might have taken a hit or something.
If Zim survived, he would have got the blame.
Zim would have seen it and been like, "Can't believe what you missed." 'Cause you got knocked
Yeah,
out.
he wouldn't even have seen the
hello,
casino.
Yeah, the aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha. And that's where we're going to finish, gentlemen. That's the end of our
Oh,
session.
mate.
Good
So,
stuff, mate.
Next week we're gonna roleplay our encounter with our
Yes.
Aslan friend,
That'd be cool.
and then we'll have a chat, see what he says, and then you can start to maybe decide about
What to do with the...
what you want to do with this Imperial treasure ship. What you might want to how you might want to tackle that. If there's any
All right.
questions, Raytar Andy, aka Andy, if you want to buy that probe, that mining probe, you could have that from the high port. I think I think the rest of the crew, speaking for the rest of the crew, they do think it's a kind of a good idea. But
There is no consensus, to my knowledge, that we would like to act on this plan, and the only reason to buy things, the question is not whether we want to buy the probe or not. The question is whether we want to go on with a plan, which implies buying the probe.
Yes.
So I don't think there are many people who are on board with the
If you
plan
see the
of
if you see
piracy.
the opportunity, and you've got the chance to buy it, because what you're talking about there is seeing a ship on the ground or at the high port. Oh, there are a number of starships in the high port as well. There are, and I'll maybe do some pictures of them, but very, very briefly, there's not many craft on the downport because it's quite poor. It's not a class B downport. The high port is where most of the trade goes in. You've got the large freighter, which is in the 10 to 40,000 ton range, like a big freighter. You've got a couple of medium-sized ships in the 5 to 10,000 ton range. There are 6 small vessels in the 1,000 to 5,000 ton range, so that counts as small, and 19 minor ships in the below 1,000 tons. And they will be a selection of slow boats, shuttles, but some far traders. There's a couple of subsidized merchants. There's a 200-ton shadow trader. I can send you pictures of all these, and you decide if you want to sort of do anything with them. There's actually a Florian merchant ship.
Oh, from the Freudian League.
From the Florian League. It's 1,000 tons, but most of it's cargo.
Yeah.
There's an extended merchant, there's a long trader, there's a couple of Maru freighters, an armoured merchant, an armoured packet, a provincial merchant, a triad merchant. There's 27 of these smaller ships which would potentially make
Plenty of juicy targets.
good prey. And they all have, I basically have kept an eye on those that have got Thrust 1 to meet Andy's kind of chase them down.
Well, what I would like to say is that if our goal is to make piracy, this is, I mean, I don't know how the treasure ship will go. I don't know if we want. This seems like a seemingly logical opportunity how to do piracy on a scale, not a one-off Mike gives the opportunity, but on a scale we want to increase the piracy activity. That's the most probable.
Probably on the scale of retiring. We did
Make-
Imperial treasure ship.
This is the most probable, successful, and logical way to do it.
Yeah, and this
given
is what we were doing sort of 2 seasons ago, but we were sort of hitting random targets as and when the opportunity presented. You know, we would see a ship leaving port, we might have heard some rumours about it, we'd chase it down with the cloak on, we'd hit it. Whereas I think your plan is a way to be much more targeted in our piracy and much safer, which is brilliant. But that's what we were doing a couple of seasons ago, was random acts of piracy on ships when we could, but we didn't always get the chance. I think the treasure ship it's got a lot of bait written all over it, but I think what we need to do is we need to get some intel and see if it is worth our time to do, and so on. But what we were doing before was...
You could certainly do both.
Yeah, that's it.
How about we get the intel and pass it up the pipeline to other pirates as a juicy taster?
Well, we're nearly ready to get back to Teve, although if it's a couple of weeks out from taking off, we might be the only ones who have got a chance to hit it. But
might be the only ones there, might.
We'll find that out. But yeah, I think both of those. The treasure ship is a bit of a main storyline quest, but what we've been doing is definitely is hitting all sorts of random targets. We've hit other pirates, we've hit various people over the years, and I think the way that you're proposing, Raytar, really helps us target that, and it helps us do it a bit more safely. So I think it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah. So what I'll do is, over the week, I'll just send you some images of these various ships that are sort of in port, in the high port, but you could basically go out and head them off at any point in the storyline. We'll just say, can we just nip off and do a bit of opportunistic, intelligence-led piracy? And you can sort of decide. I might even have like this is the No, I've not got any pictures of them. No, but that's okay.
That'd be a fun WhatsApp thing over the week, though.
Could do that over the week, couldn't we? Let me know if you want to sort of like target any of these, and then you give me a yes or no, and then we could zone it down, and you can have and then we can narrow down on a single target, and we can go and get that at any point.
Well,
Nice.
in this case, can I ask if we can backstory a purchase of a mining drone from what's the previous system where we were? Because
you couldn't get it from the previous system, but you could get it from the high port where you are now.
Why couldn't we get it ahead of time if we were thinking?
Because you've only just thought of it, and I'm not going to say you can have it from the previous system. I'll let you retcon some things, but I'm not going to let you retcon.
We didn't really have the chance to buy anything from the previous system, because by the time Raytar knew we were pirates, we were already blasting out of the starport at Cordan.
Yeah, you wouldn't have been able to do that, but you could get it at Aronasea, but you couldn't get it before.
The other thing is, we don't have to do our piracy in Aronasea either. If we've got a mining drone, we can go 2 jumps away and do it.
It's actually very much okay. It's not a problem. It's just if plan needs to involve maximum security, that would have been better, but I really doubt it should have any effect.
I mean, I think if we can avoid Aronasea as one of the systems we pirate in, overtly, it stops a bit of Imperial attention, and it stops the base being sort of potentially found. So
yeah,
don't just on your doorstep, do you?
Yeah, exactly.
Essentially.
Oh right, we're in the same system still. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
It's okay.
Yeah,
it's
makes
okay.
sense. Which system?
Right. Okay, guys, let's call that night. We'll keep in touch. Any ideas? Feel free to share.
Thank you, boys.
That was great.
All right.
Lovely. Thank
Nice.
you.
See you soon.
Nice guys.
No.
Night, boys.